Hi, my name is Thad Llewellyn. I'm a professor here at University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I work with Voss and with Meredith, and we're fortunate enough to kick off this very first conference, X-Culture Conference, and it's a little bit of an experiment, so bear with us on the logistics. We have a lot of great speakers, quite a few people sent in reports or videos, and we had to select just a few. We've got a lot of speakers. We're going to try to very much stay on time, and it's going to be my job to stop you if you're running a little bit over. So bear with us on that. My job is to just kind of keep the ball rolling, and the first few speakers here, we Aniana Williams from UNCG, and I don't see her quite in yet. If she's not, we're going to move on to Emily. You would be next, Emily Mathies, and then Isabel Fries would be third, and we may switch around. So be prepared to jump in here when we call on you, please. And I've got the pleasure of introducing Voss, who is the founder of X-Culture and the head of the management department here at University of North Carolina in Greensboro in our Bryan School of Business and Economics. So I'm going to turn it over to Voss and let him kick things off.
Yes, thank you so much. So maybe one of the steps, if you guys in the audience could put your location in the Q&A window or in the chat window, maybe your city and the hour in your time zone. So we all are in North Carolina. Well, Thad, Meredith, and I are in North Carolina, and it's 9:02 a.m. here. I know Yukta is in indoor in India, so that must be something like 8 p.m. in her time zone. So 8:30, I believe. So, and then I'm looking at the comments here. So we have people from Italy, Charlotte, North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina. So very nice. A lot of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, but also France, India. So a bunch of other countries. Very nice. Japan. Okay. So Venezuela, Brazil, California. Okay. Very nice. A quick overview of this event here. So this is an experimental conference. And the idea originally was somewhat different from what we will be doing today. So originally, we thought we would have this conference only for UNCG students of the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. We have about 350 students in X-Culture every semester, so about 7,000 of them. Professor Llewellyn is managing most of them. So he has a gigantic class. So those of you professors who complain that you have many students, 45 or 55, well, he has like 350. And so over the years, over 120,000 people have completed X-Culture, and of those, close to 10,000 have been from UNCG. And we thought it would be a good idea to invite students who participated last semester and ask them to share their experiences and insights and tips and suggestions with the new cohort of UNCG students. And so this is what we did. So we invited the best students who completed X-Culture last year, and then invited this year's UNCG students to listen to them. And immediately we got a lot of emails from our students who say, well, I don't live in Greensboro. I will not be able to come in person to the conference. Can I please join online? And then I shared this information with our professors saying, hey, we will be doing a conference like this. You might want to do one maybe at your school. And many professors said, hey, can we also join your conference? And so we thought, okay, well, if we allow people from outside of UNCG to join, we might as well just open it to everyone and make it global. And so as a result, we have now, it looks like, I don't see the attendees, so you have over 100 people in the audience, and the number is growing consistently. So plus we have a bunch of speakers, and so that's what we will do. So same intent, students from the last semester sharing their experience and advice with the new students, but at the global scale. So the speakers will be some from UNCG, but some from other countries, and the audience also some at UNCG and some all around the world. And then one thing we did add to the program originally and kept it, and I'm so grateful to our founders, CEOs, managers who joined us. So the advisory board for our Department of Management at the Bryan School of Business and Economics. So we reached out to them asking if they would be willing to share advice and insight on how to build a successful career. And many of them agreed. And so we know that they're busy, but thank you so much for agreeing to be here with us. So including, for example, you just see Lindsay Hancock popped up. So not only she has rich corporate and administrative and entrepreneurial experience, but her company has also been XCulture's client, I think twice or three times. The good news is that it was the most popular company. The bad news is that every time she participates, like 2/3 of all teams select that company, and then I don't have enough teams for the other companies. So she's not participating this semester to give others a chance to get some insight and ideas from the students. But yes, this is the plan. This is the idea. So we have a lot of speakers. We wanted to have 4 and 4, ended up with like 7 and 5. So timing will be strict. So in the first session, the students will share their experiences working in teams. So what we call sort of the human side. So they will talk about how things went to them as they were trying to complete a project with people from 4, 5, 6 different countries. Then the second session will focus more on the reports on the product. So some students will present their products, so their team reports. Some will talk a little bit more about the challenges of writing a report with people from around the world. And then some will actually share insight into what a good report looks like, do's and don'ts. And that's where we will also ask Lindsay Hancock as a former client of XCulture students in a way to maybe share her insights, what she liked and what she didn't like when she read literally hundreds of the reports that you sent to her. And then the third session will be focused on the on the career development. So that one will not be XCulture specific. It will be more about what it takes to have a successful career. Basically, the speakers are people who are today where I assume you all want to be in a few years. And so they will share what they recommend you to do, maybe what they wish they did differently when they were in your shoes, maybe what it takes to get a job at their companies. So hopefully that would be useful to you. And then the final closing session or presentation will be by one of our multi-time participant, Sydney Gallagher, who participated as a student, as a coach, but also attended a couple of XCulture symposia. So she'll talk about things that happen after you complete XCulture. So if you want to stay in touch, there are other programs you can stay with us and take part in.
Welcome you from France, is that correct?
It's correct. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Well, I'm very happy I get to share my experience with all of you because I personally very much enjoyed XCulture because I got to experience what I wish to experience in my future life in an international business, working with international people. But it wasn't without hardships, I'm going to say, because, well, I'm in France and I was partnering with 2 people from the US and 1 person from Thailand. So the first challenge was, I'm going to say, the time zones. And it was challenging, especially in the beginning. But with all the tools that XCulture recommended us, with the questionnaires in the beginning, with the formation, we were able to actually work together and not have one person doing the everything, I mean. And even though in the beginning we kind of had the issue of someone not very involved, with a lot of patience and actually communicating, trying to understand where people were coming from, it made us able to work together as a team. Because what I think is very important that everyone understands when working with a virtual team is that we all have different lives. We have lives on the side of XCulture. XCulture is a great program, but it's not the program, the main program for everyone. And for example, someone in my group wasn't very reactive because she had a job on the side. And with that in mind, we were able to adapt the group work to these restrictions. And for mine, for example, because I'm a full student on the side as well. And I really would recommend XCulture because you learn a lot about yourself and people in general. And I think what is more important is really being patient, trying to use what we are able to use through XCulture and listen to everyone, because also everyone has great insight. When someone actually speaks up and comes up to you with an idea, it can very well be a very good idea. Just don't have like a stereotype about where they come from and what the idea might be, because we actually had great ideas coming from everyone, which helped us having I think a pretty decent work in the end. And I don't know really what to add anymore, because that's what I took from Xculture. Being patient, using the tools, and being open to what people would recommend. So I don't know if I should add something if someone has questions.
That's a great presentation. So that's a great summary. So what was your biggest challenge, perhaps working with people from around the world?
Yes, definitely. Because of the time zone, but also because of the culture. We don't think about it right away, but the culture of working as a team is very different. And not everyone has the same expectations in how the work should be divided, or how everyone should work together.
Okay, very nice.
So as we go to future speakers, I think Emily did a great job of addressing this, but everyone, probably the biggest challenge I hear from my students is what do you do about the one student that is not participating, or the two? So as you
There's
can,
always
if you
one.
had that issue with your team, be sure to discuss how you dealt with that, please. So thank you, Emily. We appreciate that. Next, we're kind of going down the line here of the agenda that was sent to me. Isabel Fries from UNCG. Isabel, you are going to be next.
So Isabel, you're in Greensboro, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, very nice.
So thank you for having me. I do have a slide, if I can share my
Feel free to
screen.
share
Should
your
be
screen
able
and
to,
go.
yes.
Um,
Is it not letting you?
It should be working.
there you
There
go.
we go.
Okay, perfect.
It
There
just
you
came
are.
in perfect.
All right. So first, definitely thank you for having me. Thank you, Emily, for sharing as well. I'm also very excited. I enjoyed this experience, so it's really fun to talk about, actually. So, yeah, thank you. So let's dive in. As we can even see here, online collaborating is hard enough, but definitely when you add the different cultures and languages, it can increase your difficulty. For me personally, it also just increases the opportunity to collaborate with people that you had never had the chance to meet before, and really just hear their ideas and their experiences. And it really just enhanced our project personally. So let me see. So I just have a few tips actually, and advice for people. It definitely starts in your first meeting right away. So here are 3 things that I would recommend every team do during their first meeting. Talk about topics that aren't your project. So you're getting to know brand new people, and it's really important to humanize your teammates. That just builds trust. And when someone does come with that idea that you're not familiar with, you then trust the person and their experience. Rather than just a face and a name. So talk about goals and expectations. In our first meeting, we talked about what we expect from not just the project, but from each other. And I think that really set the bar high for us to reach. And we did that on our own. Discussing strengths and weaknesses. So, while you are collaborating and working with other people, you do initially or essentially have to do the project and have business knowledge. And so just knowing where you excel and where you may need support is important. So I would encourage you to do that. So in my group, I kind of naturally and organically took a leader role. So if is anyone online this morning that would naturally take that role as well. I just want to let you know that it's natural to want to take control, or at least it is for me. But I would just say that good leadership is fostering that collaboration and wanting everyone to work together, and allowing room for those mistakes and questions that will and can come up. Let's see. Another just big tip is really just to prioritize video chats. I know that Xculture also recommends this. Just to have that face-to-face time, it really prevents that frustration of communication. It keeps everyone on the same page, and it just strengthens your relationship throughout the project. So I think the biggest thing for our group was a language barrier, and definitely meeting face-to-face was difficult with the different time zones. But I think Emily said it right. You just really have to be patient. You have to be patient and willing to work with other people that may not think the same as you. And good ideas, that there are no bad ideas, right? So when you hear an idea, you kind of work with that idea. You don't really cast it off, because it might be good. And so, but when conflicts arise, and they will, because misunderstandings happen, just to stay open-minded and assume the best. So what I mean by that is just assuming the best in your team. When you do that, it's easier to trust that they are putting in just as much effort. And it really just encourages more collaboration. When you assume the worst, you get frustrated, and it breeds contempt for your teammates, and it just is not productive. So I really hope I'm on time. In summary,
You're doing fine. You're very much on
just
time.
just to kind of wrap it up, just online global collaboration brings challenges and opportunities. It's really up to you how you want to use those challenges to enhance or hurt your project. Humanizing your team is not a waste of time. So talking about things that are not your project is really good, and just getting to know your team, that really helped me personally, just to trust them better. Learning your strengths and weaknesses. Really, success for this project is just that everyone gets to contribute the best of themselves. So just communication and getting in that video time, and just be open-minded, and just have a positive outlook about the whole thing. So I think that'll help, and that's all.
Perfect.
Isabel
Thank you.
and also Emily, there was an interesting question from Randall Kress. How did you guys divide up the workload? So with the time zone differences, language differences, was it difficult to decide who does what? If you can maybe share your experience with that.
Yes, definitely. I try to answer by text in the group chat, so that everyone also has the answer. But what I said was that because of the time zone, it was easier for us to communicate via WhatsApp, because with the chats, we were able to have everything written down and not miss anything. And therefore, as well, pull polls to decide which ID we preferred, and also put reminders on the calendar, on the shared calendar, like that we were sure we would not forget. And of course, if people were not happy about it, we could discuss it. But most of the time, people in my group, at least, were pretty okay with the ideas in the polls, and we would naturally go with the one that had the most votes, because we thought it was the most adapted choice regarding our project.
How about you, Isabel? How did you guys decide on the workload?
I would say that's pretty similar. We definitely talked in WhatsApp as well. But I think even at like the beginning of each section that we received, we would talk about really just who's good at what, who would really excel in this area and who wouldn't. And once we talked about that, it kind of just became easier to delegate.
We did a study on the topic, if I may, trying to see which type of workload distribution works best and worst. So the most dangerous or worst approach seems to be when the team separates the workload by the question in the report. So when they say, for example, Isabel, you work on marketing, Emily, you work on logistics, Thad, you work on HR. and then don't talk for the whole semester, and then just hope that they will copy and paste everything into one report at the end. What often happens is somebody didn't do their part and you didn't even know, and it's too late, or maybe the quality is not there, so you are up for, ugly surprises if you don't participate. Another problem with that approach is that the strength of the team is in idea sharing. And so even, let's say, if Isabel is responsible, let's say, for marketing, it's a good idea that everyone on the team shares some thoughts and ideas. Isabel may still then, have the final say and write that section, but you really want to get everybody's sort of ideas in a form of brainstorming. The best workload distribution seems to be more by function. Like, for example, maybe Isabel is very good at writing, so maybe she will be doing mostly copy editing. Maybe Emily is good at research, maybe she will be looking for ideas on the web for all sections. And maybe, I don't know, Yukta is very good at coordination. Maybe her job will be to send everyone reminders about their task. So in this case, it seems to be, everyone's involved and it works a little bit better. Obviously, every team is unique and whatever works for you, it's fine. I'm just warning you that if you divide the workload and hope everyone will do their share and you just last day copy everything into one document, probably you will have some problems with that.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Isabel, just real quick, we had a question out there. Could you share slides? And what I did is I just put my email into the chat room. So any of you that are comfortable sharing your slide decks, if you have any, feel free to send those to me, and Voss and I and Meredith will make sure that anyone in the group, will post that maybe potentially out into the website as we need be.
Mm-hmm.
So next up is going to be, I hope I pronounced this correctly, Chandrakant from India. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Exactly, perfectly pronounced.
Okay, and then next after her, him is going to be Rebecca Roberts, just to kind of cue up the deck here. So Chandrakant, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I do have a deck. Let me try sharing it.
We see it.
Okay. Is it in slide mode?
I think so. Yes.
Okay, first of all, thanks a lot for providing the opportunity. Briefly, yes, I participated in round 2 in 2024 as part of Team 30. I'm in Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode, India. We picked up Skillify as one of our firm, and there was a debate which one to pick. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And basically, it was marketing 101 when the report comes into picture, the product, price, place, and promotion. This was just to set a context on what we worked on, right? Now, coming to the topic, you see, this was our team. We were widely spread, 12-hour time zone difference, as already Isabel and Emily talked about. The good thing which we started is we got a clue from X Culture about how do you do a ice-breaking session, right? So we built something called the team resume, where we collected all the hobbies, the professional career, which countries you visited, what kind of exposure you have, and tried to build that resume and live through it throughout the report. What that means is that resume kind of gave a little strength and weakness each team possesses, and what kind of background and growth they have seen, both in terms of cross-cultural exposure or in their old professional career itself, right? So we lived through this resume like a live document, I would say. Coming to how we went about this, right? So how I've depicted is what exactly we did. Any meeting we did had 2 pillars to it. One was the cultural aspect of it, another the professional aspect of it. And we always ensured that any meeting we are doing, we do a little bit of cross-cultural discussion about where we come from and what we hail from and what we see, in each other's culture, let's say, what we know about it. What that does is, even for doing any task or professional stuff, right, the culture also plays a role. The way someone, approaches in doing our task, is that making a good fit for that particular section of the report or that part of the area, is something we used to discuss and talk about, right? And of course, these 2 pillars were bridged by the technical, avenues we have. I have listed down some of them, but WhatsApp was extensively used. I think most of the team members would agree. It was like a 24-hour communication channel for us. Anybody has anything on the go, we are sharing chats, we are discussing about what to do next, and those kind of stuffs, right, over WhatsApp and Zoom, and even using some of the AI techniques, right, to paraphrase. One good thing about our team was the lingua franca was English, so language barrier was not that much, existing. So that worked in the benefit of us. I mean, there was no issues in understanding what somebody is saying. And on the professional pillar, again, same thing. We were coming from different backgrounds, different experience. And when we looked at the work distribution, I think there was a question earlier, right? We tried to map that to what each individual is expert at, right? And then we moved on from there, and it pretty much worked good for us at the end. Some nuances, some stuff I just want to bring to the team's attention, what we used to discuss about, right? For example, any ice breaking in any meeting, we would just, one time we posed like, can you share one festival which that it exists in your region or country, but you think it's less known to other people, right? And we came across this kind of list, let's say Oro Festival in Nigeria, Manjusha Day in Kenya, Sankranti, India, and Memorial Day in USA. And we talked about, what is done and all, right? Similarly, there was another, interesting thing. We asked Copilot this time, what should we ask each other? And then there was a given quote given to us, like, since your team members have traveled to many countries, ask them what was a little culture shock or culture surprise kind of thing with you, right? And we found some of the items which we discussed in length and breadth. Some of them were funny, some of them were like just experience sharing kind of thing. Like Japan, the Nimawashi, Germany, the variety of bread eaten, and Ireland, I think drinking tea after every meal. These are some of the observations, not necessarily a representation of the culture, but observations from the team members. You will see on the right side, coincidentally, Diwali, a festival celebrated in India, and Halloween fell on the same day this year. And we were like trying to see each other. So in a US university, they are celebrating Diwali. In my apartment society here in India, kids are celebrating Halloween, and we are sharing some pictures around, right? Now, the question is what this all is going to do, right? This became like, we started becoming a small little binded family, with all this discussion. It automatically gives you the confidence somebody is saying, breaking the stereotypes, those kind of things you can easily see as you move to the third, fourth, fifth meeting, going forward. So that's why I thought I'll just bring what actually we did, right? And then coming to the challenges, not very different from what we spoke so far from first two speakers. So for example, the availability and participation. We had a good team where, let's say, in first couple of weeks, there was some lack of participation from some members, but they did balance it back when they came back in the later part of the weeks, right? And in fact, there were some personal reasons, there were some hospitalizations. Someone was having a first kind of company event where he was not able to dedicate time here. But then they very frankly told, give me the task, I'll get it done, and you guys can, take it forward. And in this area also, let's say the time management or the conflicts in opinion was also resolved based on, let's say we are not reaching to a consensus, right, in one of the meeting. And then we say, okay, let's do one thing. Let's both of us go back, do a little bit of research and present what we have to the team. And then let's take a call within the team based on majority or the rational discussion upon the data, what we have, right? And sometimes often resorting to the voting method, which works at the last, if not, like, for example, selecting which firm to go for, right? So those were the things which we went through, we sailed through. With that, maybe a little repeat, but it can be sounding like a cliche, but this really works. When you have some proactive planning, proper time management, proper tool usage, you can definitely build a solid program management plan, and you can succeed, irrespective of the cultural and the time differences. Then leadership, I think Emily talked about it before. A formal or informal leader is required. Otherwise, the task goes here and there. So it is one of us if just raises hand and says, okay, let me lay out the plan and you guys follow, and we can do the things as per the plan. That works best, And leveraging individual strength we talked about, and effective conflict resolution strategies, right? Those were a few of the takeaways, and I would suggest team who are coming next to the let's say competition. And with that, I think, yes, I'm done. I'm done with my slide. I'm not sure how I did on time, but
right on time. We appreciate that. Very good presentation. One
There
thing
are
I
actually
might say,
compliments in the comments. People say you have very good visuals. Yes.
yes, the visuals are excellent.
Can I ask
one
a
of
quick
the things I
question?
will
So about the icebreakers. So we did an experiment two semesters ago, suggesting that students do icebreakers, and we suggested like 5 or 6 possible options. and it improved everything so much that the semester after, we were not planning to suggest this so we can do an experiment and see if it works compared to the control group. But how can we not suggest it when we know that it does a lot of good? It's like if you develop a good, I don't know, a drug or vaccine, and you know it saves lives, how can you not distribute it? So those in the project this semester, the email that went out last night, you actually do have a list of suggested activities to kind of get your team rolling. So to break the ice, highly recommend to use it. But Chandrakant, can you maybe say a few more words? So which one did you play and how did it go?
So which one, the ice breaking you're saying?
Yes. So which icebreakers did you try and what was your sort of experience with them?
So the first one, as I discussed before, the team resume, what that does is it gets you the parameter, let's say, of each individual, and they talk about it, right? And when you start putting this as a formal introduction, it gets into, let's say, a flow of your strength and weaknesses, individuals, right? But just the team resume it becomes like a formal document if it is not followed by subsequent discussions on the other side. Like mostly resumes are on the professional or very data oriented information, right? Then you second week or something, you start inserting like festivals we included, like hobbies we included, family members, which country you visited, right? These kind of questions make you more little informal discussions, get into more informal discussion, which really helps to break that barrier, to make you a little more convenient talking to people you don't know earlier, right? So that's what we
it's
have.
not all task oriented. You also talk about other things not related to the project at hand, right? Okay.
Correct.
Okay, good.
So as all of them have pretty well said, Chandrakant, if you would unshare the screen, that way we'll give it back to some others. That's fine.
Very nice.
I had one student email me just 2 weeks ago when the project first started that she was pregnant and her baby was due anytime, like in the next 2 weeks or so. And how do we handle that with the team? And I said, just like all of you have said, communication. You've got to make sure that they know what's going on in your world, and everybody has life events that happen, and make sure that for a week or two you're going to be kind of out of touch, and you can do things on the side, but you're not going to be able to maybe make video chats when you got a brand newborn in your hands. So things happen. So great advice from all of you thus far. Thank you for sharing. That was excellent. So Rebecca Roberts, we're going to have you sharing next, and then I hope I pronounce it, Divya Rawat from India also is coming in. And then Yanru Chen from China will be next.
So thank you guys for having me. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Where are you
Alrighty.
located? Oh, Florida Gulf Coast. Florida. Okay.
I'm at Florida Gulf Coast University, but I'm originally from the Bahamas, so I'm an international student studying there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Alrighty, so I'll get kicked off there. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rebecca Roberts. I'm excited to present to you all on the topic of cross-border collaboration, exploring successes and challenges of teamwork in global virtual teams. I am a current student at Florida Gulf Coast University, and I'm studying international business management and health informatics. Since my audience is primarily students who have not completed the project yet, I thought it would be useful to provide a synopsis of the project and its goals. And I participated in the second track of the 2024 cohort. And during these 8 weeks, I, along with my group members, acted as international business consultants to a chosen client company. We looked at their strengths and weaknesses, and we developed recommendations based on their future goals. To be more specific, I was part of the Global Virtual Team 144, which was comprised of about 4 university level students representing colleges in the US, Ecuador, and Thailand. Of course, that came with varying levels of English proficiency. And being originally from the Bahamas, I was surprised to find out that I was the only person who spoke English as my native language in the group. We chose Linguado as our client company, which is an up and rising language exchange app that allows users to link with individuals who speak the language they want to learn. Key contributions that I did to the group project were market research, proofreading and editing, and I emerged as the informal group leader. Some key recommendations that we came up with were partnerships, brand promotion, and tiered pricing plans. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, and we've talked about it a little bit. Being put into a group with people you don't know can be really overwhelming. And although our team placed well, we still experienced some challenges along the way. So some common challenges include communication barriers. So English was not everyone's first language, and time zones proved to be difficult for scheduling reasons. And for example, it was a completely different day for a group member in Thailand. And, we all had to compromise a bit to work around those challenges. Task distribution, there is a potential for unequal task distribution, causing some team members to have to pick up the slack, which can create poor group morale and overwork team members, which reduces the quality of a report. Conflicts and misunderstandings. So there will be different cultural norms and behaviors deemed acceptable depending on where your team members are from. And there could be disagreements on leadership. So some countries are more collaborative in nature while others are more rule-based. And here I want to share a personal instance of when things didn't go according to plan in the group. So it was the first week of the project, and we wanted to set up that initial virtual meeting. All parties confirmed. However, miscommunication due to time zone differences caused one group member to be missing from the meeting. And that delayed our ability to choose a client company and proceed with the project. But in order to rectify this for future meetings, we placed a time zone converter in our WhatsApp group chat, and we regularly did those informal checks and balances just to make sure everybody knew what was going on, knew what to attend, and knew what they needed to do for the project for next week. So I have some recommendations for effective communication. I know we talked about it a little bit. Establishing communication as early as possible is really important. So I would suggest reach out once you receive that email that you've been placed in a group. It creates a line of communication and establishes positive rapport. So funny story, I was actually one of the students who was being evacuated for the Hurricane Milton when this happened, when I got placed in the group. So just like everybody said, communication is important. I let everyone know, we may not have power, but I'll just keep you guys updated as soon as I know anything more. Using clear and concise language is important because some people may not speak English as their first language and they need to understand what's going on without double meanings. We talked about time zone converters and be aware of different communication preferences. Some people prefer to message, others prefer video calls. I would say pick the best for your group's needs. And in today's tech savvy world, you can use more than one. For effective task distribution, establish those team roles and norms early. The earlier people know what they're doing, the earlier they can start on it. And I know we talked about a best practice being assigning work based on roles rather than sections, which will allow a more cohesive report and allow you to use those strengths in each section of the report. And involve all task members in the decisions to make sure that the majority is not dumped on one or two people. And when working in global virtual teams, conflict is bound to happen. But you can rectify this by promoting and fostering a strong group culture early on. So my group also engaged in the group resume icebreaker. That helped us build that trust so that we could take the constructive criticism from each other later on without, hard feelings. And we were able to use that criticism to improve group cohesion by focusing on the group's goals rather than just personal goals with the project. And although our group didn't utilize the resource, X-Culture coaches are also available for help. And it's a great way to enhance your leadership capabilities. I would suggest strive to be the leader who emerges in the group, lead with collaboration in mind rather than control, and offering to give feedback to other group members and take feedback in a positive light as well. So as I wrap up, I just want to share a few reminders for the X-Culture cohort that's coming up this year. Firstly, plan ahead. Those 8 weeks will fly by very quickly. So please have a plan in place to get the report done. Be very flexible. As mentioned, time zones can be a challenge. So make sure to compromise when necessary and when you can. Stay organized. We use tools such as planners or apps like Trello to coordinate responsibilities. Foster relationships. You never know where you'll end up in life, so you can use these connections to sort of your advantage later on in the business world. And lastly, don't forget to learn. So whether you learn more about a company or just about teamwork in general, this project serves as a building block to a future career in international business. So thank you for your attention. I was very delighted to share with you all today, and please feel free to reach out, on LinkedIn with any questions that you may have. But overall, I hope that you gain an insight to the benefit of participating in this year's X-Culture cohort.
Okay, thank you very much. Excellent presentation. One question that came into the chat room was, Rebecca, what was the time zone converter called?
The time zone converter, we searched it up on Google. I don't remember the specific name of it, but basically you can search up on Google time zone converters. And what we did was we just had everybody add theirs into the system. So we had like EST and then the other ones.
And a
But
couple
it's
of
pretty
people
generic.
commented, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But it's pretty generic. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, a couple of people commented that Doodle said it's a great scheduling across time zones. Voss said Doodle's very helpful. So that's a great idea. So I see, thank you very much. That was excellent. And I see where the next person who is it Divya? Am I pronouncing that correct?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay, good. I saw where you're on cue and ready to go, so we'll let you present. The floor is yours.
Okay, great. Thank you. So hi everybody, I'm Divya Rawat. I am from the Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode in India. I'm currently doing my MBA. And as a part of my term 5 subject business project, and it was one of the most enriching subjects I've ever taken. So I was placed in team number 538, and my teammates included 2 people from the US and 1 person from Turkey. And now I can confidently say that I have 2 friends in the US and 1 friend in Turkey. So that was also really cool. So basically, the company that we chose was My Better Batch, and we worked on it. So in terms of my teamwork,
The company founder is here, so yes.
oh, okay, yes, hello, Lindsay.
That's Lindsay Hancock, Divya. That's she's the founder of the company.
Oh, it was really nice. It's really nice to meet you.
All right.
So go ahead.
Thank you. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Yes. Okay. So I will start off like in terms of the challenges I faced in the team collaboration. There weren't many. I was actually very lucky to get participants also who were very hardworking, who really always showed up on time. And also when they did not show up on time, or when we arranged a meeting and they were not available, they pretty much were available on chat. So basically, we had 2 or 3 meetings per week, video call, face to face. We use Google Meets for the same. And we made sure that at least once a week we met on face to face video call. I'll just share my screen now. Yeah. So the X-Culture Business Project, yeah, is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So the X-Culture Business Project was divided into 8 weeks. The first 2 weeks, we basically spoke about our different lifestyle, our interests and hobbies, the TVs and the movie shows that we watch, just as an icebreaker to get to know each other, to get to know the nuances of each other's culture, and also to form a bond so that later in the project, we understand from where a person is coming. Because, when you work in multicultural teams, often things may get misinterpreted. So to form a bond, I think the first 2 weeks are incredibly important for everybody who's going to take this course to stay present and be a part of all the meetings that happen. And I really recommend face-to-face meetings because it just creates a better bond and more familiarity that way. Apart from that, basically, we had a lot of cultural exchange as a part of our project. So during the 8 weeks that the X-Culture Business Project was there, I made sure to find out about the different festivals and occasions that happen in my teammates' cultural background, or, in the city or the country they're residing in. So I remember for India, there was Diwali going on, and in the US, there was also Halloween going on. So we exchanged photos of the same. We spoke about the reason and the meaning behind the festival. etc. Also, we did come to know a lot about each other's culture. Like I got to know regularly we used to talk about what we used to do on the weekends. Like my teammates used to go on the fishing trips, or my teammate from Turkey, he used to always praise Turkish tea. One thing that I also want to mention is that it's important to be sensitive towards our teammates' culture. We should sort of have do our own research about what is considered good and what is considered not so polite in our teammates' culture, as to avoid certain circumstances. So it's important to be empathetic and sensitive towards our teammates' culture. Apart from that, I would also like to say that we need to be helpful. For example, there must be certain softwares or certain applications that I wouldn't know how to use, or that my teammates wouldn't know how to use. We have to make sure that if we are collaborating using a particular software or something, we need to help the teammate to use it effectively. We also need to understand what our teammates value in terms of work, in terms of the work quality. Also, it's very important to be open and just have a friendly disposition towards the whole project. Like, yes, it's a very important project, but it's also a great opportunity to get to know people from different cultures. And I always say this to anybody also in my college who will be taking X-Culture in the next year or later on, that it's like having a foreign exchange without actually going for a foreign exchange. So you get a similar immersive experience. One more thing that I want to mention that helped me and my team in effective collaboration was, after each video meeting or after each normal call, we used to write an MOM document and present it in the team WhatsApp group. We made sure to have a WhatsApp group as it was the most convenient and hands-on way to communicate. So we had a MOM document that we kept on writing into each week, and we had a actionables document in which each person's set of actionables was written per week. So, and we used to check up on each other that, okay, how is your work going? Are you able to do things effectively, etc. So it was iterative communication.
This part is
Yes.
very interesting. I haven't seen anyone do it every week, but I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I agree.
And lastly, I would like to mention that in such a project where there is a multicultural collaboration, the only way to get something out of it that's positive and enriching is constant communication. I've seen teams in which they had meetings scheduled, but due to some reason, they did not join the meeting, the team members. But that's no point of doing the project then. So I would say, or somebody is not comfortable, sometimes you may not be comfortable putting a video on, but it's important to at least be available on audio. Have that constant touch for 8 weeks, and it can truly be a very enriching experience. I literally made 3 new friends, and I'm actually going to Turkey soon, and I'll be meeting one of the friends. So, it's a very enriching experience if you use it the right way and if you communicate constantly. And yeah, that's it. That's all I want to say. And I highly recommend this to anyone who wants to take it. It's very exciting.
Thank you so much. That was excellent. We appreciate your comments and your slides. Very well done. So just to move on, we're running a little bit over time, but I think we'll be.
Okay, so I had 2 people with me from the US and 1 person from China. So the time zone differences were really all over the place, because the closest person I had to me was the one in China, so I was communicating with them more. But we did have some issues with the people from the US. So the key challenges we faced were obviously the time zone differences, and we had miscommunication problems as well, language barriers, unclear tones, and there were some cultural misunderstandings. And it was also balancing workloads, like managing our academic responsibilities along with X-Culture, because all of us were in university. And sometimes people would, we had the one person from China only had Wi-Fi at campus because she wasn't living at home. She was living at the dorm, and the dorm didn't have any Wi-Fi. So that was also an issue. So, regarding effective communication, with the videos that were given from Xculture, they told us to use Slack and Doodle and such, but sometimes new platforms can be a bit complicated to use. So, from my experience, I recommend using something that the people usually use, like WhatsApp or Microsoft Teams, or maybe even Messenger on Facebook or Instagram, because it's kind of a habit to go onto those platforms, especially if you're from this generation who is in university. And regarding time zone differences, I know some people could be a bit nervous when people don't answer. And I recommend being really flexible and really patient with the time zones, because, like it was mentioned earlier from the other presenters, time zones is really, really an issue. And you also have to confirm understanding to avoid miscommunication. Like, for example, if you're trying to explain a part of the report that another person that doesn't understand, you can simply say, is this clear? Do you want me to demonstrate more? So being patient and being more understanding is really important, especially when the person's first language isn't English, because the person we had from China sometimes had to use Google Translate because of it. They would sometimes say, I don't understand a couple of times. It might be frustrating, but at the end of the day, you have to understand that English may not be their first language, and you have to put yourself in their shoes. Now, for the workload distribution, like some presenters mentioned, it's better to put the distribution depending on the team member's strengths. Like, for example, the person who researches best, maybe it's in their major to research. It's better to have them do the researching, and people who might be doing anything regarding literature, or they do a lot of reports in their business major, it's better for them to do the writing, and so on and so forth. And it's also really encouraged to speak with the people in your team on what they prefer to do and what they are comfortable doing. Because if they're not comfortable doing something, they might not be good at it, they might not understand what to do, and it might cause some issues with the report. So for scheduling and leadership, it's really good to use Doodle so that you can see when everyone's available, because it's better to speak on video rather than text at the end of the day, because you can see the other person's emotions. They're able to maybe express something that they're not good at expressing on text, because sometimes that can be an issue with people trying to explain things on text. And for leadership, like another presenter mentioned, it's good to rotate the leadership roles based on task expertise. Like, for example, when you're drafting the report, it's better to have the person who is better at writing to take up the leadership role, because they will be better at perhaps teaching something in it or giving tips and tricks. And again, with the time zones, you should plan the meetings early, maybe 4 days earlier, or maybe even a week earlier, because sometimes things come up in the other person's life. So you should definitely plan them early. For conflict resolution, video calls, again, like I mentioned, are a lot better than text, because emotion and speaking, and sometimes the person, regarding the cultural differences, might ask questions that you think might be inappropriate or maybe rude, but sometimes it comes from a place where they genuinely want to understand this thing in your culture, and it actually builds better trust with your teammates. And when there's issues, please address them immediately so that there's no tension and that everything is smooth and everything goes well. And in conclusion, be adaptable to challenges like time zone differences and cultural differences. Emphasize teamwork by leveraging the strengths, communicate openly, and resolve conflicts promptly. and embrace the diversity and learning opportunities that X Culture has to offer. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you
Right-
very much. We
right on
appreciate it.
time.
And right on time, yeah, 12 noon or 10 o'clock, excuse me, 10 o'clock, right on time. So, Yanru, we're going to not come back to you at this point. If we have time at the end, we may allow you to try to reshare, but I want to try to stay on track with the time that we're given. So the next session that is starting now will be basically some students giving ideas about their actual presentations, how they put the reports together, what they wrote about, kind of some tips of how to write the reports. And then at the end, we have a few, one professor, Karen Linden, who's been working with Voss for many, many years on X Culture. And then we're going to have Lindsay Hancock from My Better Batch speaking to us about her experience working as a corporate person that has reports given back to her and how she is using those in her business, how it's helped her, and how you may be able to, help them as you write your report. So I'm going to move on, and kind of the agenda here, or the presenters, is Brianna Easterly here from UNCG, and then we have Jazz Siney. I hope I'm not pronouncing that right, from here at UNCG, and then Christopher Dickerson, and then Dee Mukesh from India, and then Karen and Lindsay will be the last part of this session. Okay, so Brianna, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let me get it open real quick. Okay. Screen so that you guys can see it. Okay. So, hi, I'm Brianna Easterly, and I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina. And I'm super excited to give you guys a lot of tips and tricks for crafting a winning team report. My team was in the top 5%, so we weren't all the way up there, but I want you guys to learn from what we did so that you guys can make yours even better than ours. So the first thing is the tips and tricks. These are the top 6 things that we learned when we were working on it. The first thing is using different mindsets for each section of your project. And I'll go into more detail on that soon. But these different mindsets are going to help you when you're finding your research and you're coming up with ideas. The next thing I wanted to talk about is collecting not just facts, but also data. Data is going to help you back up your claims. I've noticed before that we'll just put facts down, like this is what they do. Okay, we know what they do, but how much of something are they doing? What is their current revenue? What are they currently selling to? So that's going to help back up what you're finding. The next thing is to use photos and graphs to add visuals. Your report's probably going to be in that 20-page range, and a lot of people aren't going to want to read 20 pages of just bulk text. Nobody's going to want to read through all that. So being able to have photos and graphs can help people when they're reading through it and give them a visual way to interpret the data that you have. The next bullet point is about working together as a team and not a group. And some people might say those are the same exact thing, but in my mind, it's not. Working as a group is a lot more of you guys just all doing your own thing, and then it comes together. And that you're not interacting with each other, you're not working together. So working together as a team is a little bit different. A lot of people that we're talking about working with everybody that's on different parts of the world and all of the different ways to communicate with them in the last presentations, those are going to be how you're going to work as a team instead of a group, because you're going to work together. You guys are coming up with ideas together, and it's not individualized. The next aspect is making sure you read the instructions very carefully. Each report that you're going through and company that you could work for, each of them have different things that they're asking you to find. And being able to go through that, you're going to figure out how you're going to lay out your report. Because I know some people haven't been able to build reports in the first place. So reading these instructions can help you figure out layouts a lot easier. And the last thing is not just including what you know, but why that is. And that was something that we struggled with a little bit because your why is explaining the reasoning behind what you're doing. It's kind of working with those facts and data that you have and showing the importance of it. Because you can just throw around numbers all day, but they don't mean anything until you give them a meaning. The next thing I wanted to talk about was going back to the mindset thing that I brought up at the beginning. This, you want to have different ways of thinking when you're going through it. So the first section, that's going to be primarily research. I wouldn't even think about coming up with ideas until you've done all of your research on what the current market, what is the current company doing, and that's going to help you give that building block of what you know. And once you have all that research, then you can start brainstorming ideas, coming up with anything, whether it's super simple or really crazy, anything is possible. So just writing down all those ideas and then narrowing it down and finding what connects back to the research that you found. And then the last section, you're going to be backing up these ideas. You came up with what you were going to work on. Now this is where you're implementing a lot more of the why into it. And it's really important, these mindsets. It helps you come up with non-biased, informed, and creative solutions that you probably wouldn't come up with otherwise if you were just researching while you were doing the brainstorming. And the next thing I wanted to talk about is looking at examples. So this is going to be my project that my team and I worked on. So here we were adding a lot more visuals, who we were in the first slide to just get everybody together. And the next thing I want to talk about was our research, what we were finding. So the SWOT analysis was very important. I know a lot of people also did pistol analysis as well. But in our SWOT analysis, you're seeing all of the ideas that we're coming up with. And we ended up using our SWOT analysis to help us come up with our idea later on, focusing on where they could improve. So we were looking at their weaknesses, their opportunities, and their threats mostly to find where we could focus on. The next thing we went into was a little bit more about the graphs in the photos. So you'll see on this left side of the slide, we had a graph symbolizing the market. So our company was YKK, and they're really well known for creating zippers and a lot of other fastening solutions. That's kind of what their company works on. So we noticed that they hadn't focused on the cable tie market yet. And cable ties, they're also fastening solutions. So we were like, this connects to what YKK currently does. And we kind of were looking at, okay, who is buying these cable ties? And what is the market currently looking like there? So we put up that graph, and there was a whole bunch of different industries that YKK hasn't even touched based off of it. So that's why we were adding those graphs to show that. The last thing that I'm adding is on the right side of the page. It's our promotional materials that we came up with. And when we were working through there, you'll look at the text. It's a giant chunk of text, and that's mostly explaining the why we're having these promotional materials, why our promotion materials look the way they are. So I was talking about the use of using the word you specifically when you're doing your promotional materials, because you're trying to sell this to people that are probably working in constructions, people that are blue collar workers. So you're going to show them in that advertisement, and you're going to focus on like, you need this from us. We can help you. And then also focusing on branding visually and with the wording that we use as well. So I hope that helped establish a little bit more detail on that. If anybody has any more questions, I can go back and give more detail on anything at all.
Excellent slide presentation, very precise, and it's great as she shows in there to add visuals. I love the idea of introducing your team by pictures at the at the first of the presentation and the report. I think that helps any company know who you are and who you are and what you look like. That's helpful.
And
And
one
again,
person asked for your LinkedIn, Brianna, if you want to message them or throw it in the chat, either way.
Oh, yes, I'll put that in the chat once I stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, and any slides that you're comfortable sharing, I put my email into the chat earlier, and if I need to do it again, or you can respond directly to Meredith. She's been in touch with most of with all the presenters, so you have her email and Voss's also. So next we have up that was excellent. We appreciate it, Brianna. Jazz from UNCG also. Jazz, are you with us?
Hey, good morning. I'm here.
There you are. Thank you.
Yes, I'm just sharing my screen. Give me just a second.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for being ready. And then next up is going to be Christopher Dickerson.
And I love
Also
your
from
background, Jess.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. I wonder who the artist is who created it.
It's all you.
Shameless self-promotion.
Looks
Yeah, I
very
wanted
familiar
to have the
Voss.
background was something X culture, so I saw that and I was like, yeah, this is it.
Looks very familiar to Voss's back wall there.
While the video, the slides have been uploaded. So guys, when you share your comments, you can choose panelists only or everyone. Many comments go only to panelists, so the whole group doesn't see it. If that's the intent, it's fine, just letting you know.
Yeah, and Brianna, you shared just the host and panelists. So if you would share your LinkedIn again to the entire group to say to everyone, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we're seeing it. It's not in presentation mode yet, but it's fine.
It's visible and it's good enough, so you
It's
can go ahead.
visible. You can proceed on. We can see it. There you go.
Is that good?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Hey everyone, good morning. I am Jazz Saini and I'm a student at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I'm majoring in information systems and supply chain management with concentration in business analytics and a minor in economics. And for this presentation, I was given the option to choose either one of those tracks, team report presentation or teamwork experience. And I thought of touching on both of them because they both are like really valuable information. And I thought I can speak on both. So
Somebody switched on the caption and it actually works very well.
Yeah, that's great.
So for somebody who's just starting X-Culture this semester, they might have questions about it. If you're still not clear what X-Culture is, it's pretty much, you can say a combination of students, professors, business researchers, all together happening on X-Culture. X-Culture brings together students from across the globe to work on real business problems. During fall 2024, my team and I collaborated with X-Culture as a client to navigate the challenges of virtual team while gaining invaluable skills. Working on real international business was a challenge presented by real companies here at X-Culture. And we were in a team where each member was from a different country. I'm from United States. I had another person from United States from the same university. We had somebody from Netherlands, and she was at that time in Colombia. And we had somebody from Ghana in Africa. And our team was in the top 8.8% of the 1,000+ reports that were submitted. And then coming back to the first part of the presentation, the challenges that were faced. So for this part of the presentation, I would say our task was to analyze X-Culture's current offerings and to identify any opportunities that needed an improvement, participating in engagement and the operational efficiency. And everybody was working on a part of it. And coming back to a lot of things that a lot of students already touched on, so that they were dividing tasks and everybody was working on each separate thing. So we decided to do that in our team, But we thought since it is a group project, it should be a teamwork. Everybody should be working simultaneously on the same thing. So instead of dividing different tasks, so if somebody was doing marketing, so it was not just one person just focusing on marketing, it was like two people who were working interlinked with marketing. So it's not just one person independently doing marketing. And doing that, it also helped us because the material they were creating was dependent on what the other person was bringing. So that's how it's like engaging the team. So we tried to keep that consistent throughout everything that we were working on. Another thing was that really helped us was to create a to-do list for the week. And that was something, and also, yeah, again, have an unofficial leader. I took some of the responsibilities for the team, like creating a to-do list where I would just list down all the things we need to be done for the week. And everybody would pick the task they would like and they were really good with doing. So that's how the team members are happy, the work is being done, and everybody is also responsible for the task, and there would not be any accountability issues because the to-do list has everything written. And then coming to the research insights of our presentation, our market research highlighted Xculture's strengths and areas for improvement. We proposed gamification to enhance engagement and personalization to attract more participants. And I have posted this thing is what we had for our SWOT analysis, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threat to the business. And then actionable strategies, our recommendation aim to make Xculture more interactive and inclusive, leveraging technology to enhance user experiences. So this is where we decided of having personalization where they can have different profiles, create engaging platforms, and they can have everything personalized. That's pretty much like how people do it on Instagram. They can put their pictures, have things posted in their bio. So that was most similarly an idea to do here. And then tips for a successful report. So again, having a report checklist, having like a to-do list, and writing a report for a global audience requires a lot of collaboration. Focus on clear communication and defined role to ensure a polished, finished product. So communication is the key. And this is addressed by so many other students already. But another thing I would say we did initially was as an icebreaker was that we got on videos. We recorded videos and we had like a bunch of questions that we were answering about ourselves. And then we sent those videos to each other so we can get familiar with our teammates. And then after the team breaker activity, we met on like video chat. And then team experience with my international team work and the insights on that. Our team was diverse, and having it diverse was both a strength and a challenge. Navigating different time zones, as mentioned by so many other students, and cultural differences taught us the value of empathy and adaptability. And this is something where I really want to highlight that it could be because we're coming from so many different cultures. So it could be the way we say things might hurt the other person. So just to be a little mindful of how you are saying things, and also don't take everything personally because that goes the other way around too. So if somebody's saying they might not say it to hurt you, it's just the way they say it in their country. And one memorable challenge was coordinating across multiple time zones. This is also already addressed by so many students. We've resolved this by setting a clear schedule and leveraging tools like Slack, Zoom, WhatsApp, Teams for effective communication. We started with using Teams, but Teams would not let you collaborate with different team accounts because it's registered with a school email. So that was an issue we encountered. And then after that, we decided to hop on WhatsApp. That was really easy because it's more like a text message that's being sent. And it was very convenient. And we also working on Google Docs and leaving each other comments or feedback on there so the other person can see and everybody in the team can see. And then lastly, some strategies or tips for success. My advice for future participants is to embrace the cultural differences, and leverage technology to streamline communication and teamwork. And just be yourself, be open-minded, again, be respectful, and don't take things personally. And thank you. Lastly, participating in XCulture has been a transformative experience, equipped me with skills that are directly applicable to my career aspirations since I'm a business student. And lastly, thank you everyone for your time and listening to all this. And I'm happy to answer any of your questions and connect afterwards to discuss further. And here's a QR code for my LinkedIn, and I have my email over there if you.
All right, Christopher, if you are ready, we are ready for you.
There you go.
All right, I'm going to keep it simple here and not go into presentation mode. Hi, my name is Christopher Dickerson. I am a senior accounting major at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. As I mentioned, I'm studying accounting. I'm actually a transfer student. I started my journey at community college in Raleigh and am graduating this spring. So I'm very, very excited to start graduate school after that. Speaking a little bit about the XCulture project, a lot of what everyone has discussed about the sort of steps and challenges to build the report, I don't want to replicate. So what I wanted to do is talk a little bit about sort of like our approach to the client, who we were working with, how we crafted some pieces of the report, and then at the end, a few tips about how to be effective in creating this report. So our company was My Better Batch. It was actually pretty cool because it was a single mom who had decided to start her own company. She had like mom guilt. And I say like mom guilt because I don't have any kids, so I don't know what that looks like. But for her, it was that she felt really bad having to buy cookies on the way home or buy cookies for the bake sale. I see that a lot on sitcoms, so I imagine that happens. And she wanted to feel great about the quality products that she was buying from the store, but also not have, the guilt of not making it homemade. So she wanted to create a cookie company with quality products that tasted like homemade, but you could get off the shelf. So first, I thought that was pretty interesting because it was pretty applicable to everyday life. Everyone has a lot of responsibilities. They're always juggling, ways to be successful in the different quadrants of their life. And so I thought this was a pretty applicable business problem to have. So when we started sort of thinking about My Better Batch and sort of the global cookie market, and we sort of really dug in on trying to understand what it meant to be a cookie, what it meant to be a snack, and what it meant to try to assess some of those markets. This is my section of the project, which I really enjoyed. I'm going into consulting after graduation, and so I really took the chance of this project to really challenge myself and to think like, if this was a real client I was working on after graduation, how would I approach some of the challenges? And so, as I mentioned, we were looking at the market. We were really surprised. I mean, cookies are apparently very, very popular around the world, a $40 billion market. And so we started to dig in on, okay, so what is the growth rate of that market? What can we anticipate the market will look like in a couple years? And as you can see, we provided both graph and text information in our report to sort of highlight some of the ways in which this market could be penetrated by My Better Batch. What we found was that we kind of liked the idea of healthy snacks. We found that healthy snack food market was a $96 billion market and projected to grow at 6.7% or something around there at a compound annual growth rate. And so through that research, we decided to sort of think outside of the box, right? So instead of saying like, let's add macadamia nut cookies or let's have spicy cookies, we thought, let's have gluten-free cookies, let's have high fiber cookies, right? Because again, it kind of harkens back to sort of the mission of My Better Batch, which was to sort of get away from some of that guilt of buying store-bought products, but still having high quality ingredients. And by penetrating the healthy snack market, we thought that we could sort of like kill two birds with one stone. Now, these have been shown in a couple of other presentations, but this is the SWOT analysis that we crafted for our report. Basically, again, same thing. It's not reinventing the wheel here, but we really wanted to sort of dig down and understand as a new company, I think the idea of a weakness might be hard to understand. You might think like, well, they're just starting, like how do you really understand the weakness? But we want to say if we place the company in a future state, what are some of the things that that company might not be able to accomplish because of some of their existing weaknesses? Like a new company might have a weaker supply chain, logistics network, which would make it difficult to scale up into new regions and things like that. So, again, another tip I would have for creating the project is to definitely utilize your graphics. I mean, this was very easy to create on Canva, I believe. So, you know, be creative in the way in which you're presenting these graphics. For those who have, worked in a business environment before, it's sometimes a lot of information, and a good graphic not only helps liven up the report, but catch the attention and highlight something that you really want to share. This pistol analysis was also spoken about in some previous presentations. We had it as well. I know for our team, what we really wanted to focus in on was really trying to understand the market. Unfortunately, the idea of a cookie is very broad. And so you have competitors like Pillsbury Doughboy that's on the shelf. You have Nestle Toll House, which is frozen. You have Insomnia Cookies and Crumble, which is, ready to make, ready to order, ready to buy. And so, really, sort of understanding these different aspects, both through a SWOT analysis and a pistol analysis, really helped us sort of hone in on the ideas that we wanted. We didn't feel that it was overkill because it really helped us sort of focus in on the ideas that we wanted to share. As I mentioned, I will just end with a couple of tips for a concise report. Planning and organization, of course, began with the end in mind, is something I learned from a long time ago in high school. So if you don't understand sort of like what the report is going to look like in the end, it becomes very difficult to begin and you have a lot of revisions. So I would say really spend the time up front to plan and organize what you are planning for your report. Communication and understanding of others' roles. There's a lot of ways to work in a team. There's a delegation, delegate your part, do your part, we'll all review at the end. There's, more a collaborative way. Whichever way that you decide to work, make sure that everyone understands and agrees to that way of working so that you can hold everyone accountable in the end. As I mentioned, utilize your graphics in a consistent manner. I'm not a marketing major. I'm an accounting guy. I'm definitely black and white numbers, but getting into the graphics and being a bit creative in that sense was kind of fun to explore and learn while creating the report. Proofread often, utilize your resources. The thing about being students on different campuses, you have access to different resources, like writing centers, like your professors who can help make sure that you stay on track. You will face challenges 100%, time zone challenges, personality challenges, cultural challenges. I will say that Jazz, who presented before me, she sort of like hit it right on the nail. Do not take it personal. Sometimes when you're communicating across cultures, there's maybe some sensitivities that are new or missing there. I would say do not take it personal. Remember, everyone's working together, everyone's trying to learn. And that leads me to my last point is just have fun. It was really cool talking about cookies and flavors with people from India on my team and Colombia on my team, Australia. They have like that Vegemite stuff. And I was like, what is that? Right. And we're talking about like, how do we add like cultural flavors into the cookies? That was really fun. So I would say through all and with everything you do in life, have fun working through the challenges. And yeah, really good luck to everyone. I will drop my LinkedIn to the chat as well. And it was great speaking with you all today. Thank you for the opportunity.
And Christopher and other speakers, there is actually useful feedback and comments in your presentations in the chat, including from our CEOs and managers. So I would take that. So very encouraging, very positive, but I hope you want to see it. So.
Yeah, and to reiterate, you're having fun, Christopher. My philosophy on life is when you're working, have fun. When you're not working, have more fun. So I live that way all the time. So anyway, thank you. That was excellent. And to keep on time here, D. Mukesh from India, you're our last student presenter, and then we'll go to Karen to have a few words, and then to Lindsay from My Better Batch.
Thank you, Professor. Hope my voice is clear and my presentation
is.
is
Yes.
there. Good day to you all, to all the panelists and the ex-culture enthusiasts. Thanks for the opportunity. This is Mukesh from India. I currently pursue my executive MBA at Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode. I participated in the fall of the last year, the recent batch that went through. We were part of the challenge, selected Radico as our client company. So let me quickly take you through the work that we did, and I'll help you out with some of the interesting facts that would be helping out to take up the challenges in the future years. So while we selected Radico, we wanted to understand more about the company. The interesting facts that we could able to see was it was an organic color-based product company, which was having the global presence with over 50 sites across the world, and they are known for their EcoCert certification, which is quite famous for their quality and sustainability. The more important part was it was a business that was mainly focused on sustainability sourcing with completely natural ingredients into the product. So the key here is knowing in depth about the product, in depth about the company who is offering the product, and what's the strengths and weaknesses is more key while you understand a particular company. Yeah. Looking at some of the challenges that were posted out by the client company was to know more about the industry and market analysis, carve out a marketing strategy for them to expand their international arena, and then provide a management and a logistics strategy for the proposed expansion. So we chosen to first start with know more about the industry where the company was playing in. The interesting fact was to know that the whole market was valued at 23.8 billion over by 2022, which was expected to grow by 35 billion, which is about 6.8% of compounded growth annually. In addition to it, knowing the customer persona was the key, right? We saw that there was a good drive in the market towards the global adaptation to the sustainable practices where the customers were moving, showing great interest about eco-friendly practices, giving priority to the organic air color products, and especially get more conscious about their health factors. Also, we could see there was a growing trend in most of the developing countries, along with the developed countries, with more people having high priority, with more income for disposable requirements, to also give opportunities for fashion products. Moving on, not having enough facts to substantiate why the market is so key, isn't it? So looking on the global landscape, we distributed into the 4 to 5 regions that you see here. The most key were from the North America, Europe, and Asia Pacific, where Asia Pacific was the key contributor in the recent years and expected to grow by somewhere in 80% in the span of 6 years, which is believably huge. Honestly, all 3 regions were really attractive. So what we did was we split it into a group, and we had a really dynamic and composite team, 2 joining from the US, 1 from Turkey, 1 from Saudi Arabia, and myself from India. So we had regional expertise, regional customer view. So we wanted to bring it all together. We chosen our own closest region, which was nearly less of a distance and know more about to bring equal and relevant facts so that we learn from each other. That was the approach that we took up here. Moving more closer, why we took a particular market. So we felt that there was a prominent drive from Asia Pacific market with the developing countries, India, China, and Japan, where the revenues have been growing well and there is a good GDP projection. to see in the recent past, 32% of the market share was really dominated by the market of Asia Pacific, with the numbers close to 7.7 billion. And again, the similar complementing customer insights were also existing based on our research that we had, and we could see that high demand for, again, plant-based products, and customers were moving towards with greater interest of using completely eco-conscious products. So undoubtedly, the China market was really a promising one from a cage network point of view. The framework that we use, we could see that the China as a company which was having a less cultural distance with the host country has India. So we had several complementing factors to consider a probable market to expand in China, where the promising fact was the size of the market, which was at 4.2 billion projection in 2028, which is just at 2 billion in 2022, which is really growing up in 2 times, and complementing with the growing demographics, right, with a band of 15 to 64 years of age of people contributing to over 984 million customers, which is huge, right, altogether, attracting a major market. These people also come with high disposable income. They have, again, an eco-conscious mindset, and they have a fashion and trending mindset to adopt these kind of products. So, which is really a key. So we charted down our entry mode for the China market. We know that Radico is already present across several countries, but the major ones were USA, Japan, where they started, introducing the products. But they have been, not having a very strong distribution network over there. So we felt that it really made sense to create a joint venture with a local distributor there, so that they gain instantly a good access to the market. The distributor partner have a good idea about what the customers are. So complementing with the real good product that they have was really, a real a winning strategy for Radico. Was the real the point that we considered about. And apart from that, this also gives them an edge over adjusting their possible risks in terms of the financial investments, also their operational risk, to tackle up all kind of regulatory approvals, by joint venturing with a local distributor. Also, the distribution network, as you see, was one of the key factor to reach out the customers in a real quick period. We put up a short-term strategy to import the semi-processed material directly from India, where the kind of trade fees which was imposed was really less compared to the other countries, and also to leverage the labor market where the China is really good, and which they are good also in adopting the new technologies, was the key to explore new possibilities. And in the near future, maybe after 3 years, as they dominate the market, or they get a good amount of market share, they know more about the customer, we see that it is really practical to expand the market to more do localization by really importing the ingredients from India, and also local grown materials which are really available, and then probably leverage to the best of what's there in the China. They also can explore doing the partnerships with the companies like JD.com, also Alibaba, who are really good in their distribution in the China market. We also carved out an interesting pricing strategy. We felt that we estimated a possible pricing of around $16 per unit, where the highest sale was around $14 in L'Oreal. But undoubtedly, there were a lot of values that the product was able to bring out to the customers, as I mentioned, which is completely eco-friendly, and there is no literally chemicals which are harmful or artificial in it. And in the long term, the customers are really getting so much benefits. So the value-based pricing was the key there. And additionally, we also see that customers can have a segmented pricing to allow them to explore the herbal products that they have, so that they gain more confidence, and then they move up their product hierarchy for the other possible product offerings that they have. They can also think of promoting the products by giving a bundling, and then they can also give volume-based discounts to invite the customers who really are confident in taking more, and then offering them the coupons to go for the next purchases. So we also explained about effective marketing channels that would really win them to get the share that we are looking for. So some of the key success were social marketing in China, because a lot of the demographics was between 15 to 60, where they are really good at the social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, where 30% of the real market is doing. Okay, I'll quickly wrap that up. Thanks, Professor. Touch upon the distribution model was hybrid in the today's generation to have a combination of both direct to customers as well as equally targeting the distributor or retailer channels. We also gave a good message about what Radico should be really looking in the market. We carved out this poster for the company, and then we said the product should be really reflecting that it is completely for 100% organic product, and it also prevents prevents from the head images. Last but not the least, I want to highlight some of the tips for the participants. I would request them to focus more on to the market data challenges, the market share that gives them the more insights, get more insights about the competitors. And we also had a challenge with the language barriers, especially with the China, not having so much information about the local competitors. We learned in a quick period that it would be better that if we could join or get along with Radico in an early phase there to get the internal market insights of what's their internal organic market contribution. How was the trend? Rather looking at a broader perspective. And additionally, I would suggest to focus on a key target market rather than focusing on too many markets, so that more valuable information can be brought it in. So, yeah, I would like to wrap up my presentation here. Thanks for the opportunity. And if any questions,
Thank you, Dee. Okay, so the last two portions of this particular section are we're going to have Karen Linden and Lindsay Hancock. So Karen, do you have a few words you want to impart on us? And Lindsay's going to also be a part of the next session as far as a panel discussion among some of the people that have been from the industry that have participated in either X-Culture or just words of wisdom about career development.
And Karen has created probably the largest quantity of these reports over the years. So she's been with X-Culture for like 12, 13, 14 years. So
a little bit less, but close. Yeah. So I have a presentation, and I thought that that would just help me organize my thoughts in talking with you all today. So let's see. So it's so nice to be with you all today. It's great to hear your stories.
Oh, that's one of the first. Yeah. When we were so small, we could put every university's logo on the certificate. Now it's like 200, so it wouldn't be possible in a given semester.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. So I was doing the New Year, cleaning the other day and went through my files. And this is definitely a keeper. It's a blast from the past for me. It's my first certificate for going through X-Culture as a faculty member. At that time, I was at a community college in North Carolina, like Christopher, but a different one. And I said yes to the X-Culture adventure with 6 students. I let them have the opportunity to choose this project opposed to something else that I had prepared for the rest of the class. So the students signed my certificate, I signed theirs, and many of them are still in touch with me today. So it's been really exciting. And it has been double digits now. It's been 11 years. So started with 6 students. I've used X-Culture in my courses through 3 different universities or schools. And so now it's, 11 years. I know that it's been over 1,000 reports. I've kind of lost track over time. And then, of course, getting involved with the coaching program in 2019 gave me a really interesting opportunity to see coaching cases, but also these reports from all around the world, because within that coaching program at X-Culture, there's a subset of people that assist the clients and professors with evaluating best reports. So I've kind of gotten a really nice look like under the lid, right, of all these reports over time. So I am coming right now from UNC Wilmington in North Carolina. And then I just mentioned here too, our coaching, a bit involved there. And then over the years, we've also done some different training programs online. And sometimes we get the great opportunity face to face to talk with faculty. We've done some collaboration sessions. So we've sat down, reviewed reports or sections of reports together and said, okay, on a scale of 1 to 7, would you give that a 7? Would you give that a 5? Why would you? In the hopes of us, right, looking at these components in the same way. So I thought to share these kinds of perspectives with you as I go forward. So to keep me on track, I thought if we could now think like a reviewer, because you've all thought of yourselves as creators, you've thought of yourself in the client role, you've thought of yourself maybe as a cookie. All right, so you've thought of yourself in some different ways and try to picture what market you're going to enter. But let's think like a reviewer for the next few minutes. I wanted to hit the highlights of the 3 big blocks of the report and then the most important section, and then just like a little bit of a wrap up. It's highly visual, and I gave you some, this is not really for you to read the detail. It's a snapshot of my last fall. So sitting down in December, after all of the students, after all of you are done with your reports, you've worked on them for 8 weeks, you've been collaborating with people all over the world. Now, professors receive a Dropbox link, and we have our big spreadsheet that we fill in. And so for me, I get this blank spreadsheet, and then over, a week, 2 weeks, we grade all of the reports, and you could see the page numbers, but then every little section receives a grade or a score of 1 through 7, executive summary, and then block 1, block 2, the marketing and those components. And then of course, 3 is a little bit of, it's different depending on your client. And then we also provide feedback. So here's the message that I sent out to my students in December. I graded 48 reports. It was over 1,000 pages. My prescription gets a little bit stronger every maybe 5 years of reading the reports. Average report, 25 pages. And so I just kind of want to give everyone this overview of what your reviewer is looking at. And then for me, when I look at those fall reports, I reviewed 13 My Better Batch reports, right? So think about being in the space of reading report number 6, a 20-page report, and then your 7th one. How is this one going to catch attention? What makes this rise above the others? So I wanted to go through some visuals and a little bit of detail with all of you. So here's block 1, your foundation. And as your presenters have talked to you about, it really is like, if we get this right, the rest of it really rolls, and it can be a lot of fun. So what are the things that you want to accomplish in that first entry mode area? It's, do you understand the client? You're talking to the client, letting them know, we get you, we know what you do, we know your products and services, we know the industry that you operate within, we see the competition that you have right now, and what the possibilities could be. And based on all of those possibilities, we've evaluated several viable expansion ideas, and therefore, and then you hit it with your big idea. So once you and your team really get settled here, then you can get into all these great things that we've seen in the reports, right? Frameworks to compress. And I know that all of you have read so many things. You've got folders and folders within Google Drive or Dropbox, whatever you're using in the cloud, and you take all of this and compress it. And it almost feels like, oh, I wish we could use all of this for the report, but you've got to hone it down to the best of the best. And so these are just some of the things that you might use to let you tell that story. And we saw some great visuals in the examples before. Here are just a few from reports that stuck out to me over time that I've captured a screenshot so I can share this with others. This is one client. We can see we've got all of the direct competition. This one is a lot to look at right now, but it was such a helpful one-pager for a different company. And this team weighted these different components of entering the market and making the case for why this is the best way to go. And so you can do this in 5 pages of paragraph form, but remember, I'm reading 1,000 pages. So we know that all of our reports that we create, they could be really, really good, but maybe not every section is excellent, but there are some real gems in there. So if you have something that you really think you want to get people's attention, create a visual, get them to focus in again and hone in on it, and then explain it a little bit more. Some other things I wanted to show. Marketing. Sometimes we get this as kind of generic, and that's okay, right? It's an activity, but if you could dig in a little bit deeper, some of the things that have got the attention for reviewers for best reports or for other accolades is did you create a little commercial? Or personas? That's really interesting if you can get into that perspective. Social media, sure, we can definitely go into many different modes of new and traditional media, but there's a difference between saying you should get on Instagram and then actually explaining the influencers. Who specifically are they? Have you found human beings in the world that like are a great match, that are the right price? How much would it cost for that influencer? Is that like, so those are the kinds of things when you really get into the detail. I don't do a lot of don'ts in my slides, but this is one, this is like the proofreading symbol for strike it, or maybe not necessary. And I know that there are sections within the client directions that say, give steps for social media or for, advertising online. But really what the client is not looking for are the actual step-by-step directions on how to do this, but specifically for them, what does maybe that strategy look like? So it's fine if you include it in the report, but for me, I look at it and glance and I keep going. It's really not like a value add. It's fine if you do it, but it doesn't really like push you over the edge for a best report. Here are some examples for marketing that I just wanted to go into with you. This is a working website for one of the past clients. And when you go to each of the links, it has a little bit of information in there, and they talk about improving that particular website, making it more specific. My Better Batch. This is a really nice commercial, and the students used AI to generate it. I won't go into all of these examples because I don't want to take too much time, but they're really quite clever. And so, sure, you could use these tools. The main thing is to explain them and to give a little bit of a story to say, here's why we created it. Here are the reasons why we did what we did. And then that brings all the logic to it. This is a different client. And so this was a webinar series concept that the team put together, and they had maybe 5 or 7 examples of how they would roll this out. So that was such a really unique attention getter. Wheel Stare was a prior client, and they provided a video, and it was a suggestion that maybe you would do a voiceover. Some of these were really super clever, and again, it just got the attention. Skillify, this was another commercial that was created, and then one group used AI and talked a little bit about, they storyboarded a bit about just like what Christopher was talking about, an experience in the home, creating things together. Can you tell what country they were targeting? Right. So it's really interesting in these details that were put together. So it's this thoughtfulness there. Kochi Grafoni wine, we're going into Seoul, South Korea. And you can tell right by just even these little details of including language here. Now we get into block 3, and this is where some will run out of time or maybe a little bit of steam. So this is really this, okay, can you get detailed? Can you get all those little details, right? We're like combing for the gold out there. So do you have specific recommendations? Do you have links for those kinds of recommendations? This one was for X-Culture Academy. Yes, we want to go to this particular country, and here are here are schools that are a perfect fit, and here are the people to contact, and here's why you would do that. Instead of just saying, you should go to Norway. Okay. You should go to high schools in Norway. Yes. But now we've got really specific leads. Same with this one. Although there were more, I just gave you this one screenshot. It flowed into another page, but this was for distributors for Kochi Grafoni. This one is for human resources and trying to think through if you're going to expand into an area. Here are some agencies that you might want to go with. You might find marketing agencies. And then this one, I just say, call attention to your key contributions, right? The things that you found that you said, this is a really good aha that the client should pay attention to. Here is a retailer. So putting this particular product into space. And then I highlighted the call attention because it makes me think of a couple of slides ago. I feel a little bad, honestly, because last semester, that Skillify ad, I didn't see it when I graded the report. I only saw it after I went through and was looking for components of reports to share. because it was just a link. It was a link in paragraphs of information. And I really didn't know that if I click, I just, again, sorry, I was fatigued as a reviewer. And if there was just a visual there, if they just gave that screenshot that you saw on that screen of the little play button, I would have clicked it and said, wow, this is such an amazing. And I know people spent time on that. And so I apologize to those students. I just didn't see it in the report. So please don't let things like that get away from you. Oh, I said primary data. Some of you will collect survey data, report it, throw it in the appendix. This is a lot of work. This shows like a unique contribution. And we know that your samples are really small. That's okay. You can say, this might not represent the population. However, this is an attempt at bringing you authentic primary data. It really goes a long way and is quite impressive. Working QR codes, these are just signals to show your professionalism. So the power of details is really where I was getting at with that. Some of the most beautiful pages in the eyes of your reviewer. Drum roll. It looks boring maybe right here, but they're beautiful. These references that are alphabetized in APA format. I see Foss smiling. You know it's true. I can see World Trade data was used. I see relevant current databases that were used, popular sources as well. This was really well researched. This shows me that that people really went to task on this, and I should treat this as a professional contribution. The most important part of the report, right? This is really what's important. The executive summary. Where are we going? Tell me what we're doing. This is the first content that we really see. We might see some beautiful cover sheets, right? But then we're going to look at this executive summary, especially your clients, and they're going to say, is this report one that I should pour myself another cup of coffee and really dig into? Or am I just going to keep scanning through pages and pages of information? So this should tell every single secret of your report. If you found an influencer and that person's name is Tim Muth, and the reason why you're using him is because he costs this much, put it on that page. Give even, if you've got a great visual, put that on that page too. Assume that people are not even going to read with care all the other pages. It's a terrible thing to say, but you will catch people's attention and you will make sure that they really don't miss the good stuff. So it's got to have all the secrets on that 1 or 2 pages. And then the most important thing of all is that, yeah, it's about the report, but it's really not about the report. It's about the experience of it. It's about everything that people have been talking about for the last hour plus. And so I just gave a couple of slides here of reflections from my students about a month ago. Who are the people that you're meeting? These are their slides. So I just kind of grabbed some things. What did you get out of it? How are you going to take this forward, right? Working on an international project. Thinking about how you are leveling up in some different ways. So, in my final slide here, I would recommend people should look at best reports. They're great to get a good begin with the end in mind idea. And they're best reports, but they're not perfect reports. They can be intimidating though when you first start looking at the project, right? They're really fantastic, but you can get a glimpse of what the full picture will look like, but also don't let it constrain you into saying this is what it must be, because you have to create your own vision of this. Substance first, then style. Don't get lost in it. Then you get to the pretty stuff after you've got all of that great data, after you pulled all of your good details. And then the client challenge directions, use it like a checklist, because it really does in every component, all those blocks give you on a scale of 1 through 7, this is how this part would be rated. And you can say, ooh, you know what, in marketing, we did some really fancy stuff, but we didn't talk about messaging. What does that mean again? Okay, let's go back and make sure that we really develop that part. Pre-sections above all of those blocks, if you can give a couple of bullet points of what are the big takeaways, it will help me hone in on the details. It will help your clients find all that good stuff and the big ideas. And then lastly, just using it as that opportunity to learn something new, to level up your skills. So maybe you are an accountant and you really don't do a lot of design. Now's your opportunity to do that. You are a marketing person, but you really don't think about finance. Now you get to grow in that direction too. So kind of treat it like this game of I know that I can grow a little bit more in this direction. So those are my thoughts, and I hope that that was helpful.
Very
Great,
much
Karen.
so.
That is wonderful.
Highly recommend to all students to follow these directions. And now
Yes.
also thoughts from the ultimate client, I guess. So the professor's only grade, but company founders, CEOs, managers presumably consume and use your information. So Lindsay Hancock, a serial entrepreneur, and a founder of a company that has participated in
And
Excalibur.
Lindsay will be on the panel that follows her little talk here. So Lindsay, take the time you need. We'll make it up on the other session with the group.
Great. Well, thank you for having me today. It has been so beneficial to spend the last 2 hours listening to everyone. I'm so impressed. So please know that sitting here in my seat, as many of you are embarking on this project, you guys are doing some pretty impressive stuff. And I am just so thankful for the teams and for the individuals who have put the time in to really getting to know my business and providing such critical feedback. So in full transparency, I haven't been able to get through all of the reports yet. This semester, there were 360 teams working on My Better Batch, and believe it or not, this was down considerably from the first time we participated in this.
We artificially tried to limit because otherwise,
but that included 2,100 students from 73 countries, which for a brand new business, we launched our product in April 2024, so less than a year ago. It is really, really impressive. But that translates to over 14,000 pages of reports. So I'm still working my way through it. But participating in this project and reviewing the reports has been such an enriching and insightful experience. It has given me an opportunity to step back and to analyze my business with many fresh perspectives, which is something sometimes that can be really challenging when you're focused on just the daily operation and getting the next thing done and getting the next thing done. So that has been really beneficial to me. The thoroughness of the research and the recommendations challenged me to consider strategies and ideas that hadn't been on my radar, especially around ideas like e-commerce expansion, retail expansion outside of the United States. One of the most rewarding aspects was seeing how data-driven the insights have been and the creative solutions that many of you came with in your reports that really align with My Better Batch's vision. I'm especially thankful to the teams that took the time to truly learn about My Better Batch and understand my vision for the company. So whether that was through thoughtful emails that were routed through the XCulture team or connecting with me on LinkedIn, those efforts do not go unnoticed. And there were some really excellent questions that were brought to me through that. I deeply appreciated the constructive feedback. So those, including the ideas on leveraging social media influencers more effectively, improving our overall media strategy, addressing perceived weaknesses. These reports pushed me to think critically about how we communicate our unique selling points. The detailed analyses, they reinforce just how important it is for me to communicate my messages consistently and effectively when I'm talking to potential customers. Reading through all of the social media recommendations has been especially beneficial. I'll admit managing social media isn't exactly my strong suit, and I think I might officially be too old for that. But the feedback and the insights that were shared with me gave me a fresh perspective, and to me, they will be so valuable moving forward. One of the reports that I read within the last week or so was from Team 66. I don't know if we have anybody from Team 66 on here, but I was thoroughly impressed. So this report stuck out to me because it was a great balance of data-driven insights and creativity, which was exactly what we need right now, especially with marketing being such a huge emphasis for my business. And I know I'm just echoing what has been brought up before in this idea of being data-driven while also providing creativity. So as somebody who is very visual, I appreciated how this team not only explained what we should do, but they also demonstrated what it could look like in action. So that was really, really helpful to me. And so I 100% agree with those of you who have brought that point up. That was, as someone who is sitting on this side of the desk reading the reports, that is really beneficial. Overall, this project has been more than just a learning opportunity. It's been a chance to refine my strategy for growth. Reviewing the reports has left me inspired. It's left me motivated, knowing so many of the recommendations were backed with solid research and thoughtful analysis. So if I were to give you, those of you who are getting ready or in the process of embarking on this project, if I were to give you 5 things to keep in mind as you work on the project from somebody who is reading the projects, it would be number 1, do your homework. Take the time to really deeply understand the company's brand, the mission, their values. Tailor your recommendations to the company's vision and current landscape of the business. And that really makes what you're coming to the table with a whole lot more actionable. Number 2, balance data and creativity. I'll just say it one more time. I cannot emphasize enough the value of being both data-driven and providing creative solutions. Don't be afraid to think outside of the box. Showing how these ideas can come to life visually, like mock-ups, prototypes, campaigns, it can be really helpful. There was one group that even sent me a My Better Batch song, which I was quite impressed with. So that was really cool. Number 3, focus on feasibility. While bold ideas are great, companies really benefit from realistic, actionable recommendations. So my recommendation to you would be to provide very clear step-by-step suggestions for implementation, including timelines, budgets, potential challenges. I think it's important to highlight quick wins that could provide immediate value while also providing long-term strategies. Number 4, show engagement. I can't speak for all, asking clarifying questions, I think about the businesses or the vision can engage your suggestions that align very closely with the company's goals. I had a lot of folks reaching out to me through LinkedIn, just all kinds of channels. I think at one point I knew there were questions coming in. I could not figure out exactly where they were all coming from because it was through email, it was through LinkedIn, it was through our website. I think, being able to filter those questions through the X-Culture team is very, very important. There are a lot of times are questions that are being asked across many teams. And so that gives folks like me the opportunity to answer those questions one time and gives you access to that information probably even before you're thinking through or asking some of those questions. But I think engaging to make sure you truly understand and can come to the table with a report that addresses those relevant topics is really important. And I think the last thing is being honest and constructive. So I can't speak for all companies, but I really appreciate the constructive feedback. I think sometimes as a business owner, it is really hard for us to see a view other than our own. And that's just because we are so deep in it every day. So this project has been a great way to shine a spotlight in some of those areas for me. I would encourage you to deliver that feedback in a way that feels like an opportunity for growth rather than just criticism. And I think what is even more beneficial as you're providing that constructive feedback is to pair it with suggestions for addressing it. So hopefully those 5 things will help you as you embark on this project. But it has been a real pleasure to be able to work with everybody through this project a couple of times now. And I'm just so impressed with the work that you've all done. Thank you.
We've got a group of 6 panelists, including Lindsay, and this is going to be more of a panel discussion. But I'll let each of them very quickly, as they get ready to say whatever they want to say to kick it off, introduce themselves. But Michael Wallace with CoreLogic, Robert Wilson or Rob Wilson with Corning, Tina Martin with BigCommerce, Kevin Dillon with EK Systems, Kathleen Allred with Amar, and Lindsay, of course, you just heard from. So why don't I give Lindsay a time to catch her breath? And let's start it off with or Voss, maybe I should ask you, do
I
you want to
can moderate
lead?
this session, yes. And I
Yeah, why don't
encourage
you
all
lead
of
this?
the almost 200 people in the audience to ask your questions about career. But maybe let's start with the question to all of you one by one very shortly. If you woke up today and it's like 1982 again, and you could give yourself advice from today's perspective to when you were graduating from college. So basically all of our students will be graduating within the next year or two. So what would be that one thing that you today would want to share with you back then?
Great question. So, do we want to start with Michael Wallace?
Oh wow, that's a good one. 1982 was a good year too. Let's see. I would probably tell myself to slow down, take the time to make the right decisions, because I felt so much pressure to have a job lined up as soon as I graduated college that I probably was reaching for the first role that was available to me, because part of that was the economy at the time. But if I had taken a little bit more time, I probably would have made a different decision for the first role I had. Although I look back on it with, I'm glad I had the experience, and I learned a lot about myself in that role. But it wasn't my life's calling for sure. So I would probably tell myself to, take your time, take a breath, look across your options. Try to get in touch with what it is you really want to do, because that's important. And then search out a company that helps match what your expectations are. Try to learn about their culture so that you have a good fit in that aspect. So just take some time and be a lot more thoughtful in your decision in your next step after college. And by the way, let me give you some background. So I'm Michael Wallace. I graduated from UNCG in 1987, a long time ago. I've been in basically the mortgage business on and off for the last 30 plus years. I work at CoreLogic now, which is a data and information solutions company that specializes in primary residential collateral data. I lead a team of about 19 client success managers across the country. And we're a global enterprise. And I'm super happy to be here today. I got to tell you, I've been listening in for the past hour, so impressed with how thorough each one of these presentations has been. And I've been trying to make some comments in the chat section, but really lots of alignment with what I see in the business world, with how you're preparing, how you're executing on these reports. So just, good work. Like, that's awesome. I feel super hopeful about each one of you guys having a wonderful career based on what I've heard today.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Who wants to go next?
Robert Wilson. I'm going to call on him, Voss. We'll do it like we'll just call
him. University style, right?
Yeah, good. Thank you for having me for the panel. I think it's a great opportunity, and I thank everyone for the invitation. My name is Rob Wilson. Actually, I graduated UNCG 2002, so a little after you, Mike, there. When you say 82, I wanted to say, can we move that up a little? I was a little kid then.
So. 2002.
Yeah, that's a little better. I was a little baby, like probably then. Yeah, so graduated in 2002. Went there to a bank. My major was finance, so everyone knows. So I'm a numbers guy. Went to a bank for about 6 months. Absolutely hated it. Sitting down at a desk for 8 hours a day, being told you can use the bathroom for 30 minutes, be back. It wasn't my thing. So I went there, took a position at A&T State University. I was there as a program manager for about 2 years, and then I transitioned there to a organization in Greensboro called the Center for Creative Leadership, which is one of the world's world-renowned centers for leadership development. Spent 15 years there in positions where I was a program manager, was able to work with Fortune 100 companies and figure out what was the essence that made them great, and design leadership development programs for them. Left there. Now I'm in a current role. I work for Corning Incorporated, which I know everyone asks me, oh yeah, Corning, they make the dishes. I get that all the time. And yes, they did make the Corelle. We did make Corelle dishes, but we sold that business years ago. We're in the anything glass business now. So all your smartphones, all your iPads, all your phones, we make the glass for that. We make the glass for your TVs. We're into the fiber optics business, which we have about 7 fiber optic plants here in North Carolina. So there is glass on your fiber optics. So your 5G, all of the AI stuff, we do that. All of your auto glass in Corning. So one of our slogans when we really talk about sales is more Corning products. And so we're everywhere you wouldn't even know. My job right now is learning and development manager. So what in Corning, we're at 60,000 employees. 85% of them are engineers and scientists. And so my role is for the engineers, about 10,000 engineers, really focus on their learning and development and their training. And so that's what my role is now. To answer your question, the biggest thing I would tell my younger self is to most definitely understand the power of connection to people, networking. And so everyone on the panel, I'm pretty sure, could come off mute and really attest to this. It's really about making meaningful connections and having those long-lasting connections, because when you move on with your career, we look at the hiring practices now. Long are gone the days, Mike, in 82, where you can go to a company and fill out an application by paper and then get someone to call you. That's not happening. Mostly it's done by networking and you knowing someone inside the company, or someone that knows someone, and really making meaningful connections. And so the biggest thing with me, or I would give my younger self advice, is connect more and build a robust network, because it will come in handy in the long run.
Perfect. Thank you, Rob. That is excellent advice.
What is it?
Next
It's
on my
not, it's
list,
not
go
what
ahead.
you know, it's whom you know or who
Who you
knows
know,
you,
yeah.
right?
Most definitely.
Yeah, most jobs don't come by applying online. They come through a connection, is what Rob just said. Tina Martin, why don't you go next, Tina?
Sure, thank you. So I'm Tina Gardner Martin, and I will give you a little bit about myself like the other two guys did, and I will share with you, I do agree with their advice, by the way. So, but I'll give you a little piece that's different too in just a second as well. I currently work for a company called BigCommerce, which is an e-commerce company that does it powers your online shopping experiences. Before that, I was with companies like Crocs and Hey Dude, which was based in Broomfield, Colorado. Was there for a couple of years, and the 10 years before that with VF Corporation, where they are Vans, Timberland, and North Face, Smartwall, a lot of big brands. So the last really 15 years, I've been with companies that are your retail digital experiences. And that's what I have been doing lots of, is the HR and digital transformation world, and love every minute of it. And what I currently do today, I'm the Senior Director of People Experience for BigCommerce, and that is a global company. I head up the HR business partners, the talent development, and the talent acquisition teams. And I'm getting ready to take on our first real experiences with people analytics, which is also near and dear to me. It is really exciting to be here. I went to UNCG, and I will say that I graduated somewhere between Michael and Rob, and I won't tell you. Ask me. But I love UNCG, and I am excited for all of you students. I have kids that are close to your ages, one that just graduated about a year ago and one that is a sophomore in college. So I will tell you what I tell my younger self, which is them. And that is not only what Michael and Rob are saying, but also don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid to take risks. I think those things go hand in hand. At the time that I graduated, and even my kids, they're so afraid of making a wrong decision or a wrong choice. And it's going to be okay, whether it be that you make a mistake in a job or whether you make a mistake taking your first job. It is your first job, and learn everything that you can there and transition on, and you'll be fine. I'm telling my son that right now, that if he feels like a year in that this is not quite the right fit, continue to learn all he can and then determine the time to make the right transition. Don't be afraid to make a mistake, because if you own up to it, take ownership, be accountable, you're going to learn something from that too, both that you get respect from your boss and you get respect from your teammates, but also you learn to fix things. And so make sure that you're not afraid to take risks, not afraid to fail, and that you just learn something along the way, and that you adapt and you adjust along the way. So I'm hoping that's helpful for you. Also, I see a lot of you saying, hey, here's my LinkedIn. I will ask you guys, I'm out on LinkedIn, so please find me. I will accept your LinkedIn request. I'm not sure if I'm going to remember all of your names unless I get a sheet from Vaz or Thad here, but please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to connect with you at any time and chat. So anyway, thanks for having me here.
Thank you. Thank you. So Thad, who goes next?
Excellent advice. We appreciate it. I was talking, but I was muted. I'm sorry. We've got Kevin Dillon and then Kathleen Allred, and then we'll let Lindsay ask that question now that she's caught her breath.
Hey, good day, everybody. My name's Kevin Dillon. I am a graduate from UNCG, class of 1998, with a BS degree in marketing. And today I work for a company called TEKsystems. We are a technology services and solutions organization, a global company, privately held, out of Baltimore. And the advice that I would provide the youth of today, or my younger self, would be I agree with what everyone else said, but I would also ask that you look around and interview at a bunch of different places. I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wasn't particularly sure how I was going to apply my new degree, and whether it was going to be marketing research or advertising or sales or global business or something else. So I interviewed for a handful of different opportunities until I found the right company and the right position that felt right for me. I might be a little bit of an anomaly. I've been with TEKsystems for over 25 years. This is the first company that I've worked for upon graduation from UNCG. I actually met them at a career fair. So that's my advice.
Great, Kevin. Okay, how about we go to Kathleen next?
Morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. And I actually had the pleasure of seeing this morning and hearing all of your presentations, which were really, really great to hear, very impressive. And some unsolicited advice I would give you all is make sure that you play this up on your resume, because it's a great experience that you're getting today. And you want to make sure that new employers or prospective employers see this and understand what you've been a part of, because it's really impressive. I too graduated from UNCG in 1995. And kind of fell into HR. So I've been in HR for my entire career. I grew up at Krispy Kreme, where I spent the good majority of my career, and was actually fortunate to go through a lot of different roles and get promoted there. And right now I work for a company called AMAR, which is based in Winston-Salem, and I'm the VP of HR. And AMAR is a global brand. So we're actually based out of Sweden, but we've got 65,000 employees around the world. And so a lot of what you're doing and your experience right now are so relevant. I have those challenges in my day-to-day job and trying to figure out how I'm going to work with people and manage the time zones and things like this. So great experience you're getting. Advice I would give my former self is it's okay if you don't know what you want to do. I think we all have this pressure that we have to go out, we have to find a job, we need to know what we want to be when we grow up. I'm a grown-up, I'm not always sure that I know what I want to do, or if this, maybe I should make a change, did I do it right? It's okay, take time, figure out what you want to be, figure out where you want to go. This is the time to experiment. So take a job that you get offered that maybe you don't think is what you want to do with the rest of your life. But that job, no matter what it is going to give you experience that's going to be helpful. I said I kind of fell into HR. I graduated with a degree from UNCG in Human Development and Family Studies. My goal was to go back and be a child therapist. So I got a job so that I could earn some money to go back to school. And so it's just a temporary thing for me that turned out, I fell into HR and it turned out to be my passion. And I never looked back. So it's okay to experiment and try new things and just be open-minded. Like Tina was saying, I have kids that are in college right now and I'm giving very similar advice. Be open-minded. You don't know what you don't know. And so just remember that and try new things while you have the opportunity. So I hope that's helpful.
That is great. And just one comment, Kathleen, sort of a personal comment. I grew up, my family was very good friends with the Brenner family over here in Winston-Salem. That's where I live. And I'm very good friends with all the sons, I guess, and daughters of the Brenner family. So I know the Amar name very, very well.
You know Amar well, yes.
Brenner
Small.
family is an exceptionally great family, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, Lindsay, do you want to answer the question? And then we'll give students time to maybe pipe in with a few questions of the panelists.
Would have you
Sure.
started My Better Batch 10 years earlier? Would that be the advice or not?
I don't think so. I don't think so. In just a little background on me, I too am a Spartan. So I graduated from UNCG in 2003. Unlike most of you on this call, my degree is not in business or anything close to that. I graduated with a degree in exercise and sports science. My goal was to go into sports management, and here I am in food 20 years later. And so I think that kind of plays into what I wish I would have known, which is very similar advice to what everyone else has given. But I wish I knew that success isn't always a straight line. In fact, it's a long, winding road, and it's okay not to have everything figured out, like some have already said. You're not locked into a career path, and every role and every experience that you have really teaches you something that you can take, both good and bad, that you can take to the next place you end up. And I think it teaches you something very valuable. I think some of my most valuable experiences have been the ones that are not so great, because they really have taught me about what I don't want to do versus what I do want to do. And they've really refined how I look at business and who I want to be and who I want to employ and who I want to engage with. And there is not such thing as a perfect job. I wish I would have also understood that. And I also would echo the sentiment of networking. In my industry, especially, it is a very large industry, but when you boil it all down, it is very small, and people end up all over the place in roles that I'll give an example. I hired someone. I used to work for the Fresh Market, which is a specialty retail grocery store here in Greensboro. I was part of that organization as they were growing, and they were still family owned and operated. I hired someone there to do a PR role who is now in a position of leadership. She's the president of a grocery retailer out in California. And so, as I sit here trying to sell groceries into the grocery store, I need her. And so, no burning bridges, building that network and is really important.
Perfect. And I've got one piece of advice that I tell my students all the time about networking. It goes to what all of you have said. Don't be afraid, or I encourage you to get off of the social media and talk to people in person. So many of the younger folks, the students that are on this broadcast here, are afraid to talk to anybody. They'd much rather text or email or whatever. Go see people, go talk to them. So that's my advice. With that said,
if I may
we'll
ask,
open it.
so there is a question on that. So Randall Kress is asking, so how would you recommend reaching out to people? So what is the acceptable protocol? I suppose we can connect on LinkedIn, but I'm not sure if that alone is enough. So all of you talked about the importance of the network. So how would you recommend these young people connect with future partners, employers, professional connections?
Yeah, so I don't know, back then, and I will say back then because all of us are back then, what type of events are being hosted today? So I know when I was in college, there were socials that you went to, there were gatherings that you could go and meet people. And so I think my assumption is, I don't know if that's still going on today. I don't know what the new Thing is now and I know it has something to do with social media. They have probably groups that you can become a part of, professional groups and things in that. And I would say definitely utilize that. And for me, it was easier for me because I'm an extrovert, so I'm a people's person anyway. So I like connecting. But whatever today's time, whatever is that venue to be socially engaged with people and to go out and there's associations that you can join. There's business associations that you could join. Even I know Toastmasters was a big thing. It still is. That has nothing to do with business. That's really teaches people how to be effective public speakers. But that's an opportunity to meet people. There's fraternities, there's sororities, there's all types of social things. So that is the encouragement. Find whatever that is and then become an active participant in that.
I 100% agree with everything Rob said, and I'm going to put in a shameful plug for the Bryan School Alumni Association. I'm a board member there as well. There are about 16, 17 of us on the board. I actually had the outreach committee, and one of the ideas that we had, unfortunately, we didn't have the bandwidth to tackle it this year, was to host a summit of sorts where we would tap seniors and other folks within the business school, and we would come in and sort of have a speed dating interview practice for those individuals. So the folks on the board would represent potential employers, and we'd be asking questions of the students, so that would give them a prep for interviews in the real world. And so what I would say there is don't forget your back door, right? You've got all these folks at UNCG or involved in UNCG that have careers that could be great networking opportunities for you guys. And I put my LinkedIn in the chat, so please feel free to reach out. And then the other thing, and I haven't heard it mentioned yet, but college internships are huge. I think my company in particular, we probably have about 100 interns every year, and through that, the goal really is, let's set these folks up so that we can bring them back in once they graduate. So that really is our desire as an organization, and we're not alone. Tons of companies like us want to do the same thing. So keep your eyes open for potential college internships.
So, and UNCG students, we do it all the time. Don't miss these opportunities. And those of you at other universities, I'm pretty sure you do something similar there as well. So when you see those ads about company fairs or meetings or networking lunches or things like that, don't miss them. Very important.
So there was a question in here that that's just popped up from Susie Moreno. It said, how do we navigate feeling a bit intimidated when approaching someone successful? Well, it just went away, so I didn't get the rest. Same kind of give an idea of that. It's intimidating going up to people you don't know, but try to find a connection, I guess, would be my advice. Through what Michael just said, your alumni networks, whatever network, see if there's some kind of a connection you can find that can reach out. And I'm not ashamed to go ask someone by email or by LinkedIn, just would you be willing to talk to me? And my son actually got a job offer from someone he didn't know through LinkedIn. He reached out to someone just random, and he ended up getting the job.
There was a very interesting episode of Freakonomics Radio a few weeks ago. They talked about the value of being in a fraternity or sorority. So they say the GPA will go down. So those who are in these student organizations tend to have a lower GPA, but the expected value is about plus $12,000 a year in pay. And they think the reason being is that that's networking. So you not only meet people, you build your professional network, but also you learn how to navigate these sometimes, living with a bunch of people in those frat houses and maybe organizing parties and things like that. So basically the idea is that university is not only lectures, it's also what happens between the lectures. And so these student clubs and things like that actually can have a huge impact on your future career in a good way.
I like what everyone has said about don't be scared to fail. That goes to the question that was in the chat. How do you approach someone? Just do it. They might, be gracious and say, yes, I don't mind. And then just be prepared that they might, the bandwidth or their position, they might not be available, or you have to go through an admin. But I think that's the way to do it, is just try to do it. From my experience, most successful leaders understand the principle that you reach one, you teach one. And they wouldn't have become successful if it wasn't for somebody helping them. So for my line of business and my understanding, successful leaders are always going to be willing to give back. And so even I would encourage it to most students, even if you encounter a leader who's not on that same wavelength, don't get discouraged. Take it as it is, and move on to the next one.
And one thing I advise students all the time is don't go to network with someone and asking for a job. Go to them and ask for advice. You know, and if they have a job, they may offer you one, but don't ever go and say, I need a job. Can you help me?
And come prepared with a few questions and open-ended questions to get that person talking about their experience and their career. Because if you get them talking, that's a long way in building a relationship with that individual.
Yeah, and there's a
good transition.
question coming in here. It says, can we have access to a successful business personnel who will coach us how to get through the ups and downs in business? Well, I know here at UNCG and most universities, no matter where you are in the world, have an office of professional and career development where they can give you interviewing techniques, advice techniques, networking techniques. So take advantage of that. I'm surprised at how many students don't use those services that you're technically paying for in whatever school you're attending.
Good transition to the next question. So all of you are top managers, company owners, and you hire people, I assume. So what are you looking for in applicants for jobs at your companies? I assume it's not only the GPA or not only the credentials, right? What else?
So can I start?
Please.
I'd love to answer because this is something that I'm asked a lot. And, you know, you can find people often that have the skills you're looking for, but you really want to find somebody who's also going to have the competencies or the underlying culture fit. And I'm not going to say just culture fit because it's more about their aptitude and attitude and willingness to do certain things. And I'm going to go into that just really quickly. And that is they're resilient. They are able to bounce back. So it goes back to my earlier comment. They are not afraid to fail and they're going to learn from it. They have a growth mindset. So they're always wanting to learn. They're not going to say, no, that's not my job. That's outside of what I do. They're willing to take on other responsibilities and be team players and help others out. So in other words, they're going to lift others up and help us get there. And they're also going to be the type of people who are accountable for their own work and who take ownership and who look to really make sure that they are meeting those goals. So they're going to be super adaptable, have a lot of grit and resilience. They are going to be accountable for their work. They're going to be team oriented and not averse to risk. So those are just a few things. And I'll bet the rest of this group has some others that would fit into those types of buckets that are those capabilities that aren't just hard skills. They're the soft skills. That's probably a better way to put it.
Maybe I'll even refine the question. So the last one or several people you hired, what attracted you in those specific applicants specifically?
Those are the types of things. We're at my company, we are looking for both the technical skills. Do they fit these types of skill sets? So for example, we might be looking for a software engineer, but we interview for the software engineering technical skills along with what we call our bucket 2, which are those soft skills or our values, things that represent like that team orientation, the the resilience and grit, I am accountable for my own work and I am not afraid to be there for my team member. And I'm going to use one more word that we've termed a word called ambitious at Big Commerce. It is somebody who is both humble but ambitious. Because we don't want somebody who's going to be arrogant about how they work, but we want them to. So we want them to be humble enough that they are have the mindset that they are willing to do the dirty work if they have to get it done. It goes back to I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get us to where we need to go. But they're ambitious because they want to continue to grow. So they're ambitious because they want to continue to learn. They're ambitious because if they fail, they're going to bounce back up. They're going to be resilient and they're going to continue to learn. So I hope did that answer the question?
Yep, I guess, yep, gives us
So
a
we'll
very.
interview soft skills and those technical skills.
I really like that, Tina, because I think we all look for people who have the skill set that we're looking for, but I think many of those qualities that you just outlined some of them are not teachable skills. You either have that in you or you don't. And so I tend to go with a candidate who may not have all of the technical skills that I'm looking for, but does have a lot of those soft skills that Tina pointed out, because I know that with those type of people on my team, not only will they be great teammates and not only will they work really hard for the company, but they're going to learn what you need them to know. They're going to learn those technical things that they may not be proficient in right now. And so those are really critical.
So if I can throw in some advice on the actual interview process, I'm in the middle of, I'm hiring 7 people right now, so I'm sort of knee deep in that. So a lot of organizations, and Tina, this is exactly in line with what you and Lindsay both were saying about, sort of soft skills, but maybe the term that's used a lot is core competencies, right? So we have positions that have assigned core competencies to them. So you have to have these competencies in order to be successful in that role. And so the advice I would give is in the early screening process with recruiters, because typically there's a recruiter that talks to you first, go ahead and ask the question about what are the core competencies that you're looking for in that role, because then you can prepare yourself for questions that are going to come up about those core competencies. And a lot of companies like the one I work for, we use behavioral-based interview questions. So it's tell me about a time when you were on a team and somebody wasn't carrying their weight. What did you do? Okay, so that I'm giving you this advice because I think that's a way to prepare for some of those interview questions in advance. So know the core competencies for the role, then Google what are some behavioral-based interview questions for those core competencies, and then be prepared to answer in that vein, because I think that'll really help prepare you for an interview.
ChatGPT is extremely good at rehearsing these kinds of things. So you can talk to it, it will give feedback. So use it, it's free, and it's essentially an interview practice.
And in line with what Michael said, a lot of companies will post those core competencies or capabilities in the job description themselves, or they may have like their values, or they may even call it core competencies on their website. So go out and check it out. I mean, actually investigate it, because you can actually get a lot of insight about the company and what they're going to ask you about. And we use those behavior-based types of interviews as well. So great advice, Michael.
So we're getting more and more questions from students, but I would like to ask one more specific technical question. How do you recruit your people these days? I hear so much from the students who say, I applied for 100 jobs, whatever platform they use, and nobody even responds to me. So what platforms do you use? Maybe they just apply through their own channels. Maybe that's not how companies look for employees. So what are your recruitment channels?
We still use our applicant tracking system. We're getting ready to move over to a new one. We use Green Day now, just to be technical. We're going to go to Workday. So if you apply online, we still use that resource. We also use LinkedIn, and we do a lot of sourcing on LinkedIn, and we're set up so that if somebody applies through LinkedIn, it goes into our applicant tracking system. A lot of companies are getting great tools through AI that they're getting better and better at really being able to hone in and identify candidates in their ATS system or applicant tracking system through better tools. We have not implemented a new tool, but those that I have talked to have really honed in so that if you are trying to get attention, what I might recommend, and some of you on this panel may have some other suggestions, but I would actually carve out like some bullets on my resume right now if I wanted to be noticed that are targeting things that somebody's asking for. So if someone is asking for specific skill sets, I would make sure that my resume specifically states those skill sets so that they're picked up by that applicant tracking system when the recruiters are doing a search. So let's say the core competencies are someone who is a team player, has a growth mindset, has software developing skills. I'm going to call out all of those types of things that I see from that job ad in like bullet format so that they are picked up from that applicant tracking system so that it's just very specific. Other
Again, if I
panelists?
may, a specific question. I had a conversation with this student a couple of days ago, and it's a very typical conversation. They say, I'm looking for a job. I see a posting, for example, on LinkedIn specifically, and the job was posted 20 minutes ago, and there are already like 600 applicants. And they say, well, do I even have a hope that someone from the company will look at my resume if they get so many applications? So do I hear you correctly that you rely on some sort of keywords or AI to quickly identify the correct applicants?
Yes.
So how does it work from your side of the table, so to speak, the recruiters?
So when those applicants come in, we have the capability to go in and do a search within like those 600 resumes that have come through based on our key criteria. So going back to like software engineering and looking for somebody who's team oriented and those different key competencies that we were talking about, communication skills, and do a search, and those will come up in my search within my resume applicant tracking system. And so that 600 goes down to 75. And then they may want to actually refine it even more, which sometimes they will. Otherwise, they may go through all of those 75 resumes, but the rest of them not necessarily reviewed because they don't have those key components. And that is where someone might be missing the boat. If they've got all the skill sets that are being asked for, if they have not outlined them in that resume to make it easy to be picked up on by an AI tool, that's where they're probably missing the boat.
And I will share that Tina has pretty much given everyone a cheat code. I can 100% say, and vouch, we don't use that particular applicant. We use SuccessFactors, but it's the same thing. So my encouragement for everybody on the line is really tune in to what Tina said. And also give a consideration that for most of your positions that are being posted, not only are you applying for it, but you have to go against individuals who have career experience. And you have to also look at individuals who have been in the workforce looking for employment for maybe 1 or 2 years because of the downturn, because of COVID, and the business environment has changed. And so definitely, I will say 100% she's spot on with tailoring your resume to when it goes into the tracking system, that you have a better chance of it getting through and getting to that interview. So good words of wisdom there, Tina.
And just to tack on to that, I can't actually stress enough the importance of the resume. And I think Tina really kind of talked about that. But when you have 600 resumes to go through, if I can't understand your resume, I'm going to skip over it and go to the next one. If there's spelling errors or grammatical errors, I'm going to go to the next one. So you really need to spend time making sure that your resume is well written, easy to understand, and you all are in a great position. You have a wonderful career counseling service right there at your fingertips. Go and see those individuals and let them help you put together a great resume, because sometimes you just don't know how to phrase what you actually have experience doing, or how to stress the things that are really important that employers like all of us are looking for when we look at that resume. So spend the time there, because it really is valuable and will help you.
I'm going to add on to that, Kathleen, if you don't mind, because really make it easy to read, but don't write a paragraph about what you do, what you want to do. Bullet point it, make it in phrases. Let me be able to scan that and know what you want, what you do, what you're good at. Because if I have to read a paragraph and decipher it, I mean, I'm not going to do it. I might read it at a highlight, but I can tell you 100% my recruiting team is probably not going to do it because they have so many to go through. So make it easy. Just make it easy, make it impactful.
I have a different slant on the internal HR and talent recruiting. So the company that I work for provides a staffing service as one of our solutions. So I've actually worked with Tina when she was over at VF to help her and her team identify technology professionals, not only in the local area, but globally. So there are people out there, recruiters like myself, that have specific industry experiences, and we work with companies like AMAR and like VF and others and Corning to provide hard to find or even unique to find skill sets to those individuals. So I would advise to go out and try and find a recruiter that is specific to the field that you're interested in.
So if I may, one more question related to career, and then there are a few interesting questions not directly related to careers. Entrepreneurial path. So Mukesh is asking, when would be a good time to start your own company if you plan to do it? Some of you have started your companies. So would it be advisable to do it right after college, get some corporate experience first, or maybe never get into that path if you don't want too much stress in your life, I guess? So what would be your advice on the timing and sequencing, I guess?
I mean, that's really a subjective response, because you have to look at, if a person is wanting to be an entrepreneur, what is their business model? What are they going to do? What service are they going to provide? Where are they going to get startup capital? What type of business are they going to do? LLC, corporation. So I think that is a multi-pronged response. But I always tell a lot of individuals, one of the things that we say at Corning is never waste at chaos. So in times of when there's turmoil or a shift in the economy, I've found a lot of people who found that was the best time to start their business, is when they're like trying to figure out the next move. And they say, well, this is the perfect time. I've been always amazed at people to do that. I don't think I would have the courage and resiliency to do that. But in time of chaos or of uncertainty, they pick the time. But when it's just depending on the persons and their ambitions and overall what they're trying to achieve.
So I'll add on to that, Rob, and I would agree. I think you got to follow your passions. And I will say that when I was in college, I actually started my own company. It was a screen printing company. And I thought it was a great idea and to help me make money during school, which it actually did. It was wonderful. I did it for about 6 years and had a couple of partners and ended up selling the company at a profit. So it was a great idea and it worked well for me. The other thing to think about, though, is that I have my partner in crime, my significant other. He is I think a lifelong entrepreneur. He went into the work world after MBA school and did it for a number of years. But his passion has always been kind of like starting up businesses, getting them running and then selling them. And he's in the mode of doing that now. He's doing a software as a service company that is really pretty cool. And he's in the process of doing it as a startup. He's been at it for about 6 months now, but I think he's a lifelong entrepreneur. But I think you got it in your blood when you're doing those types of things. You have to know that this is your passion and you have to explore kind of like what you're majoring in and what you want to do. But some people just know that they love the risk of it all and they love the creativity of it, because it takes a different mindset to really want to do that for your career.
One more question.
Yeah, because I think we, as an entrepreneur, we're set sometimes as in corporate 40 hours a week. Oh no, as an entrepreneur, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. You have to be nonstop on the weekends. And so that is a great point, Tina.
You sleep like a baby, wake up every 2 hours, cry a little bit, sleep some more. One more question, and I guess it relates to the comment about the change disruptions. So there is a question from Troy DeSellis about the impact of AI on your industries. So do you see that as an opportunity or as a threat or simply as a tool, or maybe it has no impact on your industry at all at this time? Because it seems to be changing quite a lot of things, but maybe some things will never change.
Yeah, so yeah, Terminator was right and correct. 1984, It's here, AI. So for AI and for Corning, it's going to be a huge thing. Actually, we're in the process because of the way that AI consumes power, and it's ran on fiber optics. And so now we're in that position we need to power up all of these AI centers. So when you look at all of your major companies like Google, Microsoft, all of the big players now have their own AI, whatever it's called. And so there's opportunities, I think, for our business to service that, and we'll probably be on the back end of powering that. So AI is here. I know it's for everyone, it's still a little sketchy and figuring out where it will reside and how we will utilize it. But I've already embraced it, and I'm kind of on the side of the fence. It's here. Let's just figure out how we can implement it, how we can use it, and move on. It's here, and it's not going anywhere.
I use AI to help me do pivot tables. I'm just going to be honest.
Amen.
And it's good at teaching you how to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. At VF Corporation, we used AI in so many different places, like with data engineering. We also employed robotics within the manufacturing plants, which used AI. And then even at Big Commerce, being an e-commerce company, we have AI as part of everything that we do. Now in HR, we are employing, or I should say deploying, AI and a lot of the tools that we're bringing in-house to utilize, whether it be within the application process or in the, we're even using it in the interview process to summarize the interviews themselves for managers. So there's just so many ways that we're using it in everything that we're doing. And so, yeah, there's a lot of great things, but you have to also think, wow, what else is there? So
as a manager, it's amazing. Copilot, the notes Copilot takes are scary how good they are, and way better than anybody else manually taking notes on a call. I've used it so many times to create presentations, which would have taken me a good hour and a half. And it can throw something together that then I can go in and modify or clean up in 15 minutes. It's tremendous how much time from a manager standpoint that it's saving. But to Tina's point, it's also a little scary because the more it does that, it makes things easier. We know there'll be an impact down the road at some point, right, on how many headcount you need to do certain things and leaders to do those things too.
I'm afraid it's going to talk back to me one day. It's just not say what I want it to.
It does already.
So students, you are now in XCulture, what we call XCulture University. So you are completing the project in a global virtual team, working with people around the world. When it's done, you don't need to leave XCulture. So we have a bunch of other programs that we offer to you. XCulture Coaching Program, XCulture Global Symposium, which will be in Finland. The next one, the last one was in St. Louis, and before that it was in Thailand, Italy, Canada, so all around the place. And so there are all kinds of other programs that allow you to continue growing with us. And Sydney has done most of those. And so maybe she can share some experiences and reflections on those other experiences that happen sort of XCulture after XCulture.
So first, I just want to say again, I'm really excited to be here. I am very passionate about XCulture. So for the speakers before me, they've all provided some really, really wonderful insight just into their experiences, and they've shared some really great tips and advice for how to succeed moving forward. And hopefully you all can see just how rewarding and just exceptional XCulture is as a whole. And you've learned a lot about how prior participants have overcome the different challenges within their team, and also just what it takes to write a quality report. So now I'm going to talk about what's next. And for me, this is a very special question because I've been really fortunate to experience so many different aspects of XCulture. So I participated in XCulture as a student, like the rest of you have or will in the future. And I gained a lot of personal and professional development just out of those experiences. And I've also got a lot of inspiration and motivation out of it too. some motivation just to challenge myself, to increase my cultural intelligence, and to learn more about international business and consulting, and really to make connections. So when I participated on a team, I had teammates from India, New Zealand, the Netherlands, as well as the US. And we shared a lot of the same experiences that some of the panelists have shared, and we faced some of the same challenges as well. And so after completing the project, I really wanted to just continue on with X-Culture, and I decided to take on some of the opportunities that X-Culture provides. And since being a student, I've been a coach, a coaching manager, client expert. I've served as part of the Best Reports Committee, and I've been able to evaluate so many wonderful reports. And I've also attended one of the X-Culture Global Symposiums. And so I'll tell you a little bit about these opportunities as well as my experience for you to consider in your future. So the first opportunity that I want to talk about is the X-Culture Coaching Program. And it's an opportunity for those who have completed X-Culture to step into new leadership roles. And some of you who've just wrapped up your semester, you may have requested coaching at some point during your team project and are a little familiar with that student-coach dynamic. So in the coaching program, you'll be able to support global virtual teams like the ones that you've worked within, and help them navigate the different cultural challenges and help them produce those high quality reports. And it's definitely a hands-on leadership role that pushes you to develop your communication, your adaptability, your empathy, and really so much more. There's so much room for growth and improvement just as a coach. And you would be a part of a cohort of coaches from all around the world. And you'll form some of the most amazing and long-lasting friendships and connections, and you would participate in various cultural exchanges as well as just a bunch of other really fun team activities. After you gain experience coaching, you have the opportunity to apply to become a coaching leader or coaching manager, where you would be able to take those leadership skills to the next level if you want to. So rather than just guiding those teams and helping them develop those reports, you'll now be able to guide coaches and ultimately develop strategies to improve the program as a whole. And I would say that that's extremely practical for exercising and refining the skills that are required in leadership and different organizational management roles, really just wherever you go.
Coach of coaches or manager of managers, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes. So then there is the AA program within the coaching program. So it sounds confusing, but it's not, I promise. It falls within the coaching program. So if you are a coach, you can join the AA program if you would like to. But that is some steps beyond just coaching these global virtual teams. And here, the coaches and the client experts, they collaborate together to develop what's called weekly milestone advice sheets, which if you recently completed X-Culture, you may be familiar with these, but they are developed to correspond to the specific clients and their needs, and basically elaborate on how to improve those quality reports that the teams are developing. And so it involves a lot of market research, and for those coaches to additionally put forth extra effort in understanding the different clients. And lastly, there is the X-Culture Global Symposium. So this is an event where participants from all over the world come together in person to collaborate on live business challenges similar to the ones that we do on global virtual teams. But this time you get to present in person to the industry leaders as well as with your teammates. And these symposiums are held annually. So last year there were two, I believe, one in St. Louis, Missouri, and one in Chiang Rai, Thailand. And these are hosted in just really amazing locations around the world. I believe Dr. Voss said Finland is the next one.
Finland is the next one, yes.
Yes.
The northern city of Vasa. So yes.
That's yeah. So definitely an opportunity you don't want to miss out on. These are again hosted in beautiful locations. They do have a selection process. And so while it might sound a bit intimidating.
And those who presented today will be recommended for travel stipends from the UNCG fund. So good for you guys. No guarantees, and not everyone and not full amount, but at least some of you, at least some of the portion of the travel cost?
Yes. So my advice, again, because it might sound intimidating, however, just put your best foot forward and show up in your X-Culture team experiences as a student and as a coach. For me, I didn't attend a symposium until after I completed coaching. And so again, whether it's after being a student or after being a coach, just express the passion that you have for what you do, because that really shows up in your work. And I want to show you. So this is a photo. I attended the St. Louis Symposium this past October, and I was placed on a team with teammates from Japan, Australia, Italy, and the United States. And we were given a really, really exciting challenge from the company called Merit. And so this competition itself was, of course, a really large factor, but overall, the experience was so much more than developing the business report and presenting that. We were able to tour the Merit's headquarters, and we listened in on several different panels on business strategies, AI strategies, since more and more firms are adopting AI, career development, and we also just had a lot of time to just hang out with the other attendees and explore St. Louis. And I think one of the coolest things about my experience is that I just learned so much about the other attendees and their cultures and where they're from. And for me, it's just a better learning experience when instead of reading to learn about these things, you're witnessing it and you're learning it from firsthand experience. And then let's see, more photos. For me, it was really rewarding to meet in person, one, my teammates, but two, some of the coaches that I've worked alongside within the coaching program that I didn't expect to see in person. It's always possible, but it wouldn't be, I don't know, maybe to meet every single person that you meet virtually and form virtual relationships with. So it was just a very unique experience and just so memorable to be able to meet these people in person and connect with them, and also share some of the first time experiences ever with them. For example, a lot of the attendees who came to the symposium had never been to the United States before. And you're probably wondering why there's this random picture of some kind of dip. This is s'mores dip. And tons of the attendees had never had s'mores in their life. So, of course, it was my obligation to share this with them. And it's some small things. They seem small, but in the long run, they're actually so special and just create so many great memories.
Yeah, good memories. I can't believe it's been like 3-4 months already since that meeting, like yesterday.
It went by incredibly fast, yes. So why participate? There are many, many reasons why I would recommend participating in these programs. And similar to what Rob said earlier, my number one reason that I would present to you is the oftentimes unrealized value there is in making connections. And that's not just to benefit you professionally, but it adds so much value to your personal lives. And so you'll meet people from, again, around the world who can challenge your perspectives and expand your opportunities. And I can confidently say that some of my closest personal and professional connections have started within X-Culture. And so it's very special to me. But these experiences will, of course, push you out of your comfort zone, but they're going to help you grow as a person and a professional. And you can just gain an incredible amount of knowledge when it comes to mentoring and guiding others and making decisions and really just refining so many different skill sets that are beneficial, no matter what career path you decide to embark on in your life. And how to make the most out of it. So one, leverage your background. And what I mean by this is that you all have unique experiences that you can bring to the table. So for me, for example, my experience in the Marine Corps before I even began my academic journey.
And those who don't know, Sydney was in the Marine Corps as a, what is it, helicopter technician or operator or?
Avionics technician.
Avionics. Okay, yes.
Yes. So with that experience, combined with the Marine Corps took me to Japan, where I was able to live for about 2 years, and then just pursuing and gaining knowledge in international business as I pursued my degree. All of these transferred into my role as a coach and coaching manager, etc. So I just really encourage you all to think about how your background aligns. And I really want to point out that no matter what your experience is, there are always some transferable skills. You just have to articulate them, and that's it. They're very transferable. You just got to work on the articulation aspect of it if you fear that it doesn't align or something. 2, be proactive and take the initiative. These opportunities will not just fall into your lap, and they require effort if you want to succeed and to do well. 3, seek feedback and reflect on your growth. I would say the most effective way to improve is to hear from others about your performance, your work ethic, and just continuously reflect on how you've grown, and ask your leaders, ask yourself, ask your peers how you can apply the things that you've learned to your future goals, whatever they may be. 4 and 5, be eager to learn. If you ever want to grow, you have to be willing to accept those criticisms and feedback, and you have to want to understand and empathize with the concerns that others may bring up. And 5, again, make connections. I can't express how essential this is. And I know every single person here has heard it's so important to make connections. It's so important to network. But it is. It really is. I don't know how to express it any more than that. But again, as Rob said, don't underestimate the power in making those connections. And so I'm sure I'm probably running out of time, but if you have any questions and you want to connect, I have also included my LinkedIn QR code. So thank you, whoever started that, for inspiring me to add mine on here. But again, the last thing that I'll say is that it's worth it if you are willing to put in the effort to succeed.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Great advice. Great advice.
Great advice, Voss. I just personally want to thank everyone for being a part of this, especially the students that are in X-Culture this semester. Hopefully this helped you, and we'll learn a lot toward having a better experience in X-Culture. We started out with over 200 participants from what I counted, at least 10 countries around the world. Appreciate the professors that tuned in. I especially want to thank, and I put this in the chat, the presenters, the student presenters from last semester. Sydney, thank you for your presentation, and especially also the panelists that spoke to us about the career. So we had a lot of information today, and we appreciate everything. So Voss, I'll leave it there and let you have the party words.
The biggest thank you should go to Thad and Meredith, who actually did all the organizing, planning. So I don't know how many messages Meredith had to send, probably by now in hundreds, if not more. So coordinating, watching those videos, again, when you submitted them, somebody needed to watch. It's like, I don't know how many hours combined, selection, all of that. So thank you so much. And also here, we didn't really talk much about Yukta Kandari. So she's the person who manages all of your emails, inquiries. I see there were some questions about X-Culture now, so not part of the conference. So she's the one who is behind the admin@xculture.org email address. So you can express your gratitude, because it's literally hundreds of emails every single day. So it takes.
And Yukta, it's nice to see your face. I've had a lot of emails with you. So
yesterday, Yukta, the last conversation we had, it was my 7 p.m. So it must have been like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in India. So I don't know if she sleeps, but the work was done. So
and my last comment is, and we've said this all along, is be patient with communication, not only with your teams because of things around the world, but Yukta is actually in the Ukraine and runs the administrative side of this. Oh, actually, I thought you were in the Ukraine. So
the previous admin was in Ukraine. Yes.
Yes. probably better not to be there right now. But anyway, with the time differences and, the response times, sometimes we get frustrated because people don't respond immediately to an email. Well, when you're halfway around the world, you have to be patient. Sometimes it's a day or two before you get responses, not only from us as professors in X Culture, but also from your teammates. So be patient and make sure that you give them time to, respond to the communication. That's it. All I have.
Well, thank you, everyone. Yes, thank you. We'll share the recording probably tomorrow with those who couldn't attend live. And thank you again, the organizing committee and the participants and the panelists and the audience. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you all.
Everybody have a
Wonderful
great rest of your day
presentations.
or night or
Appreciate your
wherever you
insights.
are.
Thank you.